Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mental Health Chat with an Open Panel, episode 3. So today we have Amy with us. Yay! I'm excited.
Hi.
She's going to tell you a little bit about herself and the things that she goes through. And we're here to support. And I will be dropping the link here in a second. Let me grab it for anybody who would like to join us on the panel. There we go. I dropped the link for the panel for StreamYard. If you'd like to join, come on in. We have 6 people in the chat so far, and I see Miss Denise. Thank you for being here. Much love, my friend. Thank you for being a big supporter. If you guys are not subscribed or showing love to Denise's channel, please go do that because she is an awesome support system. She's always happy, always showing love, and it's amazing because there's been so many times where I've been down in the dumps and she'll just randomly message me and send, hello and much love and stuff like that. And it just brightens my day. And I greatly appreciate you, Denise. Thank you. Hello, them flipping crooters. Now, I know I can't say it like Tommy does, but hello, Rebecca. Welcome. And Amy, do you want to tell everybody about yourself, a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I have a fiance. He's pretty great. That's all I'm going to say there because I could talk about him for days. He is amazing. With my bipolar, when I first got with him, I was a hot mess. I'm not even going to lie. I would flip out over whatever. Like somebody used the last of the toilet paper. It wasn't like I am now, just go buy more. I would like cuss and scream and throw a fit like I was a 2-year-old not getting my way. But he's helped me a lot. My kids I think they're starting, now that they're older, they're starting to understand that it's not an easy thing for me, but I also know it's not easy for them to put up with me. My 2 boys are, 3 of my 4 kids are teenagers, and they struggle with their own things. My oldest one is ADHD. My youngest son is ADHD and ADD. And if you know anything about that, being bipolar and having anxiety issues and ADD does not go together at all. I try, when it comes to, I don't take medication for my issues unless I absolutely need it. And mostly it's just my anxiety that I take medication for. But it doesn't really mix well when my boys decide not to take their medication too. So those days are struggles, very big struggles.
Yeah. My son has ADHD, and we actually chose to wing him off the medication that he was on because it helped him, but it didn't, it made him a different person than what he should have been. And so we just decided to wing him completely off, and we're teaching him how to control it. We give him peanut butter that helps with his ADHD. And so it's pretty awesome that we've been able to do a natural route instead of putting him on all those medications. But that works for our son. It doesn't always work
right
for everybody. And I see we have some more people. Let me welcome them real quick. I know I did say hello to most of you in chat and in the chat, but uniquely me, Tracy, thank you for coming. And let's see, Tiffany, Eat Sleep Amazon, welcome. She's like my little sis. I miss her. I know she's been so busy, so we got to reconnect there, girl. Dwayne, Mothership Products. Welcome, welcome. He says that Heather and my daughter are bipolar and my son Jeremy is autistic. You know, and I don't know much about autism, but I believe my brother, my youngest brother, is actually bipolar. That's what my mom keeps saying she believes he is. But he's one of those toughies that think that he doesn't need to go and get help for it. So hopefully, if we keep praying that he'll go and get some help, because I'm not bipolar, but I know that it's definitely a hard one, a hard mental illness to deal with from what I'm being told. And
it's not easy.
You know, so I don't know. I don't have it personally, but
it's like being on a roller coaster 24/7.
Okay.
That's the easiest. Like 1 minute I could be laughing, joking, and then like with a snap of the fingers, I could be bawling my eyes out and not have a clue why I'm doing it.
Yeah, and I have an emotional roller coaster that I'm on, but it's not bipolar. It's my anxiety and my depression and, you know, my fear of people and stuff like that. That's for me, that's my roller coaster that I'm on. Oh, couple of pickers is in the house. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Lynn, welcome. Hello, Fat Man the Flipper, Alex. Welcome, welcome. I did drop the link in the chat for anybody else who would like to join us on the panel. It'd be awesome to have more people. Me and Amy, we're going to try to carry this.
Maybe this time I'll talk. Well, actually, I've already talked more than I have on any live, except for the one with Nate and Anthony. But that's because they kept asking me questions after questions. And I'm like, okay, slow down, guys. You're giving me anxiety here. Stop.
Yeah, Anthony and Nate are pretty cool. Anthony has been there for me. And between him and Darlene, Nargis R, Casey, her son, and, a few other people, it's been easier and easier to, talk about this. And it's, I have Tommy B, I have my Tommy, I have Tracy, all these, Tiffany, Lynn, and Lisa, all these people have encouraged me and stood behind me in my adventure in doing this and trying to get it out there and, express the things that I go through, because it's a hard thing to talk about. It really is. And Tommy actually said that when I do my next Wednesday video, when I do my premiere, that because it's really hard for me to talk about the things that happened to me when I'm going through, like when I did the PTSD, and then I talked about, all the things that I went through. It was hard for me to be actually on the screen while I was reading the information because I was embarrassed and I didn't want people to see the emotion on my face of the things that I was explaining and telling. And he said that people need to see that. They need to see that I've been through that. And so I'm going to try it a different way. And Tommy 2.0 is amazing. When him and I got together, and I know I've said this repeatedly, he did a lot of research to try to help me. And so it's amazing. It really is. Hello, Heather. Do you want to join us? I did drop the link. I can drop the link again if you are comfortable coming on and talking. You can come talk with us and share your story as well. If not, that's okay. No pressure. Reselling Addicts, welcome. And I know I just saw a bunch of other people in here too. said hello to me. Said hello to everybody. So how does the bipolar like how does that manifest? Do you know what caused it, what triggered it, or is it like something that just kind of like you were born?
I have no idea. I was first I was diagnosed with a mood disorder when I was 15. But they can't put me on mood stabilizers because it's like I have one mood and it's not a good one. Like I don't like anybody, I don't like anything, I don't want to talk to anybody. Most of the time I isolate myself anyway. But at 15, I was always an outside person. And I still like to, be outside more than inside.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm having one of those days, it's like my bedroom has always been my safety zone.
Okay.
So it's like, when my friends come over, they don't want to sit in my bedroom. We're not teenagers anymore. But that's another thing. I don't talk to a lot of people. The most people I've talked to, say even just the last week, has been in a chat or on a live. I don't communicate socially with them being in the same room as me or in the same home as me. One of my friends lives right downstairs. You think I'd see her like at least every other day, a couple times a week. I talk to her, but I do not go down there. And it's because when I go somewhere, I have to go home. That's my feeling when I go somewhere else. I need to get home right now. I have to go. And I have no patience. Some days are better than others with that. But most of the time, it's like I go to my mom and dad's house to visit with them and the kids. And 10 minutes after being there, I'm like, I got to go. I got to go right now. I got to go home. And there's nothing here. There's nobody home. My fiance is working. My kids are with me. There's absolutely nothing going on here, but I have to be back here because this is where I live.
Okay. Now, see, this kind of, the way that you're explaining it kind of reminds me of my mom. She doesn't like her safety bubble is her home. Mm-hmm. And when they take road trips on the motorcycle, they'll stop here. And my mom's always like, within 5 to 10 minutes, she's like, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. And it's like kind of heartbreaking because, she'll show up, she'll call and say she's on her way, and she'll drop stuff off, but she doesn't stay. And I've tried so many different ways to get her over here, eat dinner with us, her and my dad. And she just doesn't. She likes to be in her space all the time. And I love my mom. I love my mom very much. I just wish that we were able to spend more time together. And so it kind of sounds like what you were explaining is how my mom is. And so, and a lot of that I think has to do with her RA. She has RA real bad. And so I don't know if maybe that triggered it, because I don't know is bipolar something that you're born with or something that develops over time? Do you know?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess it could be like a genetic thing, but I'm not really sure how that works. I just know that it's not fun. That's all I know about it.
Now, have you found anything that's that helps other than when you're out and about? Have you found anything that helps?
Sometimes that's the thing. There's some days that I'm fine with it. Like I can go to my parents' house, which they've had the house since I was 15.
Right.
And I could go there and I can spend the entire weekend and I'm fine. And then sometimes when I'm there after 20 minutes, I want to call my fiance and say, hey, come and get me. Okay. So, I mean, it kind of depends. And it does help when I have all 4 of my kids in the same house. That does help because we're all together. But even sometimes with them being there, like Halloween, we walk around, we're trick or treating. After we were done, it's like 9:30 at night. I want to come home, but we made plans for the next day to go shopping with my mom, and like the whole day, I had as much fun as I could possibly let myself that day.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to go home when I woke up that morning. I didn't want to go shopping. I wanted to come home. But I pushed through it because we had made plans. My girls were off school the next day. My boys had school. They go to different schools. And we had made plans like 3 weeks prior to that on going thrift shopping. My girls love going to thrift stores.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, we could, we were an hour away from home. My parents have a lake lot. We went to check on that. The whole time we were at the lake lot, it was like I was waiting for somebody to attack me or something. Like I kept looking over my shoulder and like paying attention that a leaf would move and I about jump out of my skin.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what was going on, but for whatever reason, that day was it was rough, but I made it through it. And like, my kids had fun. Mom had fun. Mom's like, did you have fun? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, I can't it's like I don't allow myself to let my guard down. I'm with my mom. What could possibly happen with my mom? Like,
Right.
she's not,
That's how I feel too.
right. She's not going to hurt me. She's not going to let anybody else hurt me. But the fact of not having like my dad or my fiance, there's a store right up the road, and 9 times out of 10, I will make him go with me, even though I can almost walk there.
Right.
But being by myself in a store, but what if somebody robs the store and I'm there? What do I do? Like, that's the stuff that goes through my head. No matter how much I try. Well, why would somebody rob a Dollar General? I don't know why people do have the stuff that they do, but that's what goes through my head when I do that. Taking my girls to school. What happens if I run off the road? What happens if this happens? Like, my anxiety just like starts kicking in, and then the panic starts happening.
Yeah. See, and my anxiety too, it gets very tough sometimes, going out to stores, going out places, and Tommy is my safety person, I guess you could call him. And so a lot of times especially when Tommy and I first got together, I didn't go anywhere without him. I mean, before we got together, I'd go to the grocery store, but it was a very quick shopping spree for food. And then I'd go to the doctor, and then I would have to come home. And my poor kids, and I think I've said this before, where, we lived in an apartment complex, and the only time the kids were allowed to go outside and play was when there was nobody else out there and I could be out there with them. And it got to the point where I knew something had to be done. And so I worked on it. I've been working on my mental health for so many years. And it's a struggle. But with everything that I went through in my past, I no longer look at myself as a victim. I'm a survivor, and I'm going to keep surviving, and I'm going to keep getting stronger. And when Tommy came into the picture, I still was working on it, and everything seemed good. So I was like, oh, I'm not having any panic attacks. I'm not having any anxiety attacks. But he was still with me. Like, if I would want to go to the store, I'm like, hey, you want to come to the store with me?
Right.
I lived in a really, really tiny town. And so you'd have to drive like 20 minutes away to get to Walmart. And So that's what, you know, we would go to the Walmart and we would go, you know, to the gas station, stuff like that. And it got to the point where it was like he was with me all the time. So I wasn't worried or scared or anything like that. And then there would be times, like, I think it was like a little over a year after we got together, you know, he was like, no, I'll stay here. And I was just like, ugh, panic set in. And then I would go, but then I would be like, shaky, 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 you know, because you get used to having that person with you when you go places and then they're not there. And even to this day, if we walk into a store, I'm able to actually go off in a different direction, but not for long periods of time. And I will go, like, when we go to Goodwill, it's a smaller building. I'll go up and down the aisles. He'll go look at his electronic stuff. And then I'll just kind of do a quick run through, see if there's anything that I can catch that I would really like. And then I'm right back by his side. Walmart was a really big thing for me. And like, I was so happy that I was able to, because Walmart is a very big store. I got to the point where he could be over in the automotive area and I could go to the food department, and then he would do his thing. I would go grocery shopping, and then I would go look for him. And if I make one trip around Walmart and I can't find him, I start to shake. I start freaking out. I keep thinking that he took off and he left me there. You know, and I know these are all not rational thoughts, but when my anxiety kicks in, it, like, my train of thought becomes very crazy and erratic. And so I like start to panic, and and that's during the second trip trying to find him. And if I can't find him after the second trip, I call him. I'm like, where are you? Where are you? He's like, I'm over here. And I'm like, okay, be right there. And I will run through the store to get to where he's at. And then once I see him, once I have him in my sights, I'm able to come down from that anxiety. But otherwise, I don't, I try not to like go too far away from him, even in the stores. So it's scary. It really is. You know, your heart's beating and you feel like you're going to have a heart attack because it's racing so fast. And then you start to shake and then you start to sweat. And then you're just like trying to make sure that, you know, you're trying to calm yourself at the same time you're not trying to calm yourself, if that makes any sense. You know, Beth, I'm not sure if I even have a form of OCD. There are certain things that I do that would maybe classify as OCD, but my mom has OCD. Like, she's a clean freak. You can literally eat off of her floor because she's cleaning it all day. She has her pictures set up a certain way, and at Christmas time, my brothers and I, we mess with her. We'll just move the picture just a little bit, and she knows. She knows, and she'll freak out.
I used to do that to my mom.
Welcome, welcome. I think this is the first time that I've seen you here. I know I've seen Michelle Lathan. Welcome, welcome. Dumpster diver dad, welcome. I so did a tongue twister on that, and I'm not even sure why, but welcome, welcome. And anybody else that I missed, No Money G, welcome. I hope I got everybody. If I didn't, please say, hey, you forgot me, and I will acknowledge you, because I don't want anybody to feel out of place or that I'm ignoring them, because that's not what I'm about. I'm here to, you know, help and, you know, chat and be somebody's rock. Even though I struggle with my own thing, I still want to be somebody else's rock, because I know what it's like to have a rock in my life to kind of help me be grounded. And it sounds like Amy has that now too with your fiance.
Oh yeah. When we first got together, I could only imagine what he thought, because I'm serious. I just got out of a horrible relationship. I actually went to school with my fiance. We hung out with the same people, went to the same school, didn't live that far. Well, I lived further, but he lived closer to my grandparents, which I was there all the time. But we never hung out one time. Like I remember I had like this huge thing for him back in high school, and I would hide in the locker just so he didn't see me. Like that kind of thing. It's kind of funny. But we've definitely he's like, I can say he's actually seen me at one of my worst moments. The guy I was with before him, he wasn't physically abusive. Well, one time, but then he realized that he picked the wrong person.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of those guys that I'm bigger than you. And I might only be 5 foot tall, but you know what they say about little things, right?
We're dynamite size.
Right. My aunt told him, you don't want to mess with Amy. She's like a firecracker.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's nothing. She's a little midget, whatever. That doesn't even bother me anymore. And she's like, okay, well, if you trigger her, she's going to lose her crap on you. And he was just like, oh, whatever. Well, one day he got mad because I wouldn't give him money for pot. And I said, look, go get a job. You want to smoke pot? Go get a job. I didn't have money for stuff like that. I still don't. I have kids to take care of.
Right.
And he like totally freaked out and I don't even know what he said. He was yelling so loud that it just sounded like somebody screaming, no words. And he flicked me in my forehead, and I totally lost my cool. I ended up chasing him down the street, climbing him like a tree, and just like punching him in the face. Because he triggered, like, don't flick me.
Right.
That will set me off quick. Yeah. And he calls the cops on me. The cop gets there. He starts cracking up because here I am, 5 foot tall and like 120 pounds. And this guy's 7 foot tall and 400 pounds. And the cop's like, why am I even here? Yeah. And I was like, he triggered me. He pushed my buttons. He told me I didn't have, I think his exact words were, you don't have the balls to hit me. And to me, that's a challenge.
Oh boy.
And like, yeah, I had a really bad anger problem. I would go off on somebody just because they looked over my direction and I didn't like them. Or I don't like the color hair you have, so I just lose my temper. It's horrible. I have learned how to control. I control my anger a lot better nowadays. Mm-hmm. But I still have a hard time controlling my mouth. If I want to say something, I have no filter. And it's really hard for me not to say what I'm thinking. And a lot of people don't know how to handle that. They're like, yeah. Is she being mean? Oh, I'm not being mean. I'm being me.
Right.
Like, and what really triggers my anger nowadays is when people are like, I want your opinion. And then when you give them your opinion, they don't like what you had to say. Well, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you.
Yeah, and that's how Tommy is too. It took me like before Tommy and I got together, I didn't voice my opinion. I didn't talk a lot. And Tommy's the one that told me, because he would ask me my opinion and I'd just be like, I don't know, and he's right. Like, well, I need your opinion. I want you to talk. And I'm like, okay. And so I learned, because he gave me, I guess, permission in my mind that I could speak and say what I was feeling, what I thought, because I'd never had that before. So it was something new for me to learn.
Right.
And so now I can be very mouthy. Not that I'm a violent person, but you make me mad, I'm going to tell you what I think of you. And it took me a long, long time to get to that point. And so it's crazy. But Dwayne, real quick, I've had this up. He said, everyone should be someone's rock. Sometimes it's easier to help others than deal with your own issues. And that is so true.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a guest. Heather, welcome. I think she's getting set up yet.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, you guys are frozen for me. Oh, here we go. Okay, I haven't showered yet.
I'm still wearing the same clothes I had on yesterday.
Hey, okay, good. Yeah.
I just did a glitter thing for my eyes. We did an exercise because we're doing hip hop abs. I jumped in the shower, and then like an hour before I was going live, I was like, I got this little, it's Halloween makeup for mermaids, like to give you the mermaid look. And I was like, I wonder what it would look like on my eyes. So I went and I was playing with it. And then it's got the glitter, and then it's got the little confetti type stuff. And so I put the confetti part on my eyes, and I'm like, nope, I feel like I'm cutting my eyelids. So I'm sitting here with the tweezers, and I'm like getting the bigger pieces off, and I'm like, yep, that's not gonna work.
Well, it looks very cute.
Well, thank you.
You look very sparkly.
My camera got blurry. I think it wasn't happy with me and my eyeballs. And then real quick, I saw a comment in here that Beth said, what I'm dealing with right now is people think you can control it. Managing is different than controlling. Amen to that. So very true.
Yes.
I'm 39. I was diagnosed when I was younger, and my anxiety and my depression and all that, and I'm still learning how to manage it. What about you ladies?
I manage it somehow. Like I said earlier, some days are better than others. Some days I want to like just scream as loud as I can because that's the way I feel. But other days I'm like, just calm down, just breathe. But it doesn't always work that way.
For me, it's not. I don't like I had typed in the chat earlier. I don't have the extreme ups and downs like 1 minute to the next. I more do the hill, the slow rolling hill thing.
Okay.
And I'll be good for heck. I can be fine for several months, and it's not an issue. And then all of a sudden, I just start rolling downhill. The medication isn't working for me anymore. I either need to have it adjusted or have to go off, which is really hard to go off of one and then onto another. So you just don't ever really know. Probably the biggest thing that I try really hard not to do is to punish others for what is going on in my head.
That's the hard part. That's the really hard part because like my fiance, he'll go get us food, which is, I mean, depending on where he's going, but it's like 20, 30 minutes away to get pretty much anything that's not the nasty pizza place down the road. And by the time he gets back, I've been mad at him. I've cussed him out, but he doesn't know because I kept it to myself.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I was so mad at you. When you came home, I had it all planned. When he gets in that door, I'm just going to lose it. But then when he gets here, I'm like, oh, you're home.
I I can relate.
And it's so weird because like one night he went to the baseball game with his friend and he tells me I might go to the casino afterwards. And I'm like, oh, okay, have fun, you know, whatever. But by the time he got home, I already cussed him out like 800 times, called him every name in the book. But when he walks in the door, I'm like, oh, you're home. Did you have fun? And he goes, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And he goes, you were mad at me, weren't you? I'm like, oh, yeah, we don't need to talk about that, though.
Yeah, when you can work it out in your head, that you know you're having an emotion, but there's no logic to it. And if you can work that out in your head before it comes out of your mouth, is the best thing you can do for those in your life.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't always happen, though.
No,
Heather, do
sometimes.
you want to introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about yourself for people
Me?
who don't know? Yes.
Oh, okay. I haven't been looking at the chat. I took a look at first, but just wondering who all is here. Heather Hale, married to Dwayne. We used to have the auction. And I've talked before about my bipolar and what a great group of gals I am. And some people, you know, when they find out that I'm bipolar, it was Rebecca. Dwayne had mentioned to her something about me being bipolar, and she was like, "So you just throw it out there, and Heather's okay with that?" And Dwayne's like, "Yeah, she's not fooling anyone. We don't try to pretend like she's not. You know, there's no faking it." And you know, you just it's not airing all your garbage. It's just being honest about who you are with the world. And if people, you know, you let them decide. Is I don't know. Everybody in my life is a little bit crazy, so it's fine.
And I when I started this, when I first came out and was sharing with people that I struggled with mental health, I cried. Because I was embarrassed. I cried because it felt good for a release to finally be able to share something with people that, you know, follow me, because I didn't want to be that person that pretended like I was 100% perfect, you know, and this and that. And with the whole spleen thing, I was struggling really, really bad. And so I needed a place to go to where I could find other people that were struggling. And because for me, I felt like, well, if I'm seeing somebody else who's struggling like I am, you know, that will help me get the courage to know and to see that you can survive, you can move on, you can get stronger. And there was nobody. Like, I couldn't find anybody.
Wow.
A video here, a video there on somebody's channel, but it wasn't strictly about, or mostly about, the struggles that these people were talking about, you know, that they were dealing with. And I found a lot of counselors, I found a lot of doctors, and I'm like, this isn't what I need. I don't need to hear from a counselor who's never experienced it. I don't want to hear from a doctor who just shoves medicine down your throat because they're going to get paid for it. I need to find people that are really struggling and that I can relate to. And so with that, Tommy was like, put it on your channel. And so I did, and we are here now. And I'm hoping that I can be an inspiration for somebody else to know that I'm struggling, but I'm making it. I'm getting there. And I will have good days. I will have bad days. And a lot of times people don't see the bad with the good. And so I'm airing it all out. That's just what I need to do. And because it's okay to have your bad days. Because when you have your bad days, it makes room for your good days to come. And sometimes it lasts a month, the bad days, but that good time is going to come. And we just never know when.
I think that's one of the hard parts is when you keep telling yourself this is going to get better, this is going to get better, you know, and telling yourself that you have to believe that.
Yeah, you have to have faith in it. Cherokee Rebel, I'm sorry if we are triggering your anxiety. That's not what we're here for. Just know, much love. We got you. We're here, and we got your back. And woosah, woosah. When your anxiety gets high, I do it all the time. People look at me funny, but it helps. She says she's crocheting.
Oh, very good.
I wish I could do that.
Yes.
I get frustrated and end up like either just sometimes I just gently set stuff to the side. Sometimes they go flying across the room because I get mad.
I can crochet a long line. That is not going to help anybody. I have not been able to master the making a blanket where you go, you crochet the line and then you go to attach it with another line. I haven't mastered that. My mom crochets really well, and she's tried to teach me. I've tried to watch YouTube to learn how to do it. I just am
right there with you. Yeah.
I'm destined to do the long line.
Genetically speaking, I should be able to crochet, and I can't for nothing. My daughter knits, but she never likes her projects. So one day she'll get there. You know, she keeps trying.
And that's great. Cheyenne Rebel says she crochets blankets, hats, scarves for cancer kids, veterans, and homeless. That is awesome. Good.
That's way awesome.
That great work. That
way
is
awesome.
amazing. Let's see what else we have in here. Oops, here we go. Many times it takes someone to take the first step to crack the seal. Good job, Destiny. Thank you, Dwayne. Dwayne's very, very awesome too. I mean, he's very supportive in the community as well. And you are very, very lucky to have him. He is awesome. You guys are actually so adorable together. I remember watching you guys' auctions, and you guys are just so cute.
Thank you. when we first met, coming up on 24 years, there were some comments of, you guys are like nothing alike. You guys are really different from each other. And then over the past 2 decades, you know, people change a lot. I think we're alike now. But you know, how you were talking about talking to people about what's going on with you. For me, the fibro, you know, let me think. Crap, now I have to go down the timeline. My bipolar was diagnosed before the fibro, but I think it was the fibro that made the bipolar worse, because basically for me, fibro took everything I already had wrong with me and made it way worse, and then threw in pain and exhaustion. Just, you know, a little bonus there. And when you talked, like you said, when you talk to people who are actually dealing with it rather than medical people, there are things that happen that, like, the medical field doesn't even really recognize that is real.
Exactly. Your husband is smarty pants. You see that? He says, you hear that, Heather? I am special. Well, you know what, Dwayne? You are extremely lucky to have your wife.
Hey, I tell him that.
You hear that, Dwayne? You hear that?
Oh, he knows. Yeah. Yeah. This was when the kids were younger, but one time when he told me I could be replaced, and I asked him if he thought he could find someone to raise his children. I'm like, you really think? He wasn't real mad. It was a sarcastic thing. And I'm like,
He does that too, where he gets sassy. Tommy does that all the time.
if he gets too much, I call him out on it, and he knows I will. And but I was just like, yeah, have you met your children?
That's awesome. That is so awesome.
Is I gave birth to 3 high maintenance children. When people are like, "Oh, my kids, they're really good. They're pretty easygoing," I'm like, "Wow, yeah, my kids are not easygoing."
Mine aren't either. They're sometimes, especially my girls, 12 and 13.
Oh,
There's days I'm like, if you were 18, I knock the crap out of you right now.
how are you surviving 2 of them?
4.
Right? Close to age.
I have 17, 16, 13, 12. My
Is
2
God
older.
trying to punish you?
Well, I don't know.
Hi, Glenn. Welcome. I'm going back up in chat as we're talking, highlighting some comments and stuff like that. I just saw that Glenn was in. Welcome. Denise, thank you for coming. Much love. Get some much needed rest, my friend.
See, I always say that God sent me one daughter for a reason, because that's all I can handle.
I can relate. I have a 12-year-old daughter. She's her dad and she's me, all mixed in one.
Yeah,
and
I know that one.
And I love her to death, and she is my shining star. She's the better version of me, is how I look at it. I think I did good when I had her, but sometimes her mouth.
This is exactly my experience with my daughter. She and I are a lot alike in a lot of ways. She does have some of her dad in her. And out of my 3 kids, she's the only one I've ever slapped. And I don't know which one of us was more surprised when it happened. She was like 14, and she was up in my face. We're about the same height. And she was up in my face being sassy, and I just smacked her. And so then she proceeded to tell the whole world her mom slapped her, and the whole world said, "Well, it's about time." Like, no one had sympathy.
I had a similar thing. We were down in Florida. First time I ever went to Florida. I live in Missouri, so that's a big difference for me. And we were by the pool, and my mom made 3 of the 4 kids get out of the pool because they wouldn't stop horsing around. And then my mom and dad were like, "We're going to go make some lunch, bring them back in about a half hour." I said, "Okay, I'll let them play out here." My kids are weird. They want to play at the pool. We could do that here. There's a beach that's like, you just walk through the gate and you're at the beach. So it's not, I didn't understand what was going on. And I said, okay, well, my oldest decides he's going to get back in the pool, even though his timeout wasn't up yet. And I said, I don't think so. Just because grandma walked away, you're not going to get back in there and start horsing around again. He starts cussing me out to the point where I am ticked off. My ears are burning. I could feel the heat coming from my face because I was so mad. I walked to the condo. He was like running away from me because he knew I was going to bop him. We get back to the condo. I walk in. He's just in the kitchen with my dad and my younger son. And he's like, "Oh, yeah." And they're laughing and joking. I walked up and I backhanded him right in his mouth. I said, "You are not going to talk to me like that." And he goes, "What the F, Mom?" So I backhanded him again. And then he puts his fist up like he's ready to throw down. I'm like, "Oh, you want to go?" I was so mad. And my mom's like, no. Well, don't put your fist up unless you want to throw down.
Wow.
But it was It was horrible. Dad's like, I told you not to talk to your mom like that. I don't put up with it. And they put up with it. I don't put up with it. And I want to say it was a few weeks back, he calls me because he found out that his girlfriend cheated on him with his brother's girlfriend, which I'm still mind blown about that whole ordeal. But
I do the math here.
Right.
That's what I was trying to figure out. I'm like,
Yes. Nick's girlfriend, which is my oldest, and Andrew's girlfriend, which is my 16-year-old, decided their girlfriends decided, since my boys weren't going to have sex with them, that they were going to have sex with each other. And it still does not sound right when I say that out loud, but yeah. He calls me and he's like, F this and F that and this stupid B, and I'm going, calm down, son. Because all I could understand was the cuss words. I couldn't understand what he was really saying in between them because he was fired up. And I said, breathe. And he goes, I'm sorry, Mom. I don't care that you're cussing because you're not cussing at me. You're venting. Okay, I get that. Because my mouth gets really bad. If I'm really ticked off, I can't control what comes out of it. And he's got ADHD and he has, it's not bipolar, but it is bipolar. It's the manic depressant part of the bipolar. That's what he has. So when he starts talking about something, he can't just let it go that easy. So, and he's not on medication anymore because he does not like, I'm actually glad he's not on the Adderall anymore because
he scared me off of that.
He was so mean to everybody. Even when he wasn't trying to be, it was like it was his second nature just to be hateful. Yeah. And I finally got him calmed down. He explained to me what happened. And I said, I'm really sorry you're going through this, but this is what I'm telling you. I don't have female friends because females, not all, but a lot of females are really sketchy. They're shady. They're clean. I know. That's why I don't like them. Somebody that thinks that they have to talk, if you think you have to talk to me every day to be friends with me, I don't need you because that's not how I am. I can go months without talking to some of my friends and pick up right where we left off. I went, 12 years without talking to one of my friends from high school, and we picked up like it was nothing. Like we just seen each other the day before.
So you and I we're going to be good friends, Amy.
I'm sure.
I'm that same way. I mean, one.
By all means, if you need something, you can call me. I will talk to you. I don't care if it's 4 days in a row. Yeah. But if you don't need somebody to talk to and you're just like, what are you doing? Oh yeah, I like that too. I'm watching that show too. Like, I don't need that. Yay, you're watching the same show I do. I don't care.
For me, I could hear from my children every single day. Of my kids, my adult kids, I don't hear from them every day, but I could,
right.
And then, my sisters, for my emotional, I have to hear from my sisters, or, I call them too, at least every few days. And then I have one friend that, I have to hear from on a regular basis. He and I have been friends since the 80s. But other than that, I'm the same way. I can go for weeks, and people are like, I haven't heard from you. What's going on? Nothing. Give me a minute. I'll make a story up, but nothing. I have nothing.
It's not that I don't want to socialize. It's just sometimes I forget. And
yeah.
I get busy doing something, and then I'm like, crud, I haven't talked to this person in a while. Or I'll get a message and be like, are you okay? My mom is bad with that too. My mom is really bad. Because me and my mom, we talk a couple times a week. She's always checking in, making sure I'm okay, see how things are going. And I love my mom for that. I wish she would do it in person because I like to see her more. But I'm like, everything's fine. She's like, well, I haven't heard from you. You were supposed to call me. And I'm like, I was. Oops. I'm sorry. I'm good. I'm good, Mom. I'm good. You know, and I have friends too online that I've made through YouTube. And I feel horrible. I feel like a bad friend because
Yes.
I used to talk to them all the time. And then I got busy. And then it's like, I don't want them to feel like I forgot them because I haven't. I think about them all the time. I'm just so busy. And then I get tired because I'm so busy. And the stuff that I'm doing is kind of taking and draining me a little bit. And so I get real tired and I go to bed even earlier than I normally ever did in my life. And we used to be night owls. Well, now we're going to bed by 7:30, 8 o'clock sometimes. And I'm like, well, now I know why older people, old people like my great grandma and great grandpa, when I was little, I was probably like 14 years old and my great grandmother would go to bed at 6 o'clock. And I'm like, I never understood it. I'm like, well, the day's just starting, and they're going to sleep. And well, now I know what they feel like because it feels good to go to sleep at night early.
I wouldn't know. Sometimes when I go through phases of not really talking to people much, it's just because it's not that I'm in this horrible, awful place. I just don't really have anything real nice to say in general about life. And so it's best if I just take a moment and however long that is because if I'm going to be talking to people, I don't want to be Debbie Downer.
Right.
And, my oldest sister, I'll share things. Well, yeah, both my sisters I'll share things with. But, they're my sisters. But as far as the rest of the world goes, I try to present the best side of myself. And if I don't feel like I can do that, then I do retreat. And because, I don't want to be the crazy lady.
So when Tommy and I got together, we used to go to Milwaukee and hang out with his friends. And they instantly welcomed me. They were very protective of me, maybe because I was a country girl and didn't know the city life. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but they were all amazing people, and they still are. Don't get me wrong, they still are. They're amazing people. And I just felt so out of place the first few times that we would be hanging out with them. And I think they noticed that because my anxiety would be really high and stuff like that. And they just come over and it was like they've known me for years. And so I got comfortable really fast with them because of how they treated me. And then we moved to Adams because I didn't want to move to Milwaukee. We didn't want to raise the kids in a city that the crime was really bad. Now we're going, Milwaukee's crime is not as bad as where we are now.
Oh my.
And it's spread out and stuff, and it's really crazy in Milwaukee, but our small town that we live in, Tommy did a comparison of crime, and Milwaukee actually was better than our town, which was very weird. And it was crazy. So we kind of regret a little bit of not moving into Milwaukee, but at the same time, I don't know if my anxiety would have been able to handle it. I mean, I had lived in Milwaukee before for I don't even remember how long it was, but I lived in Milwaukee before, and I know that my anxiety was pretty high when we were there. But if we would be living there now, maybe it wouldn't be so high. Maybe I would have gotten used to everything. But thinking back on it, I was like, yep, I am not going to be, not letting my kids go outside and play because I'm afraid somebody's going to do a drive-by or anything like that. Now we got to, my anxiety right now is actually at a kind of like a flatline level.
That's good.
That's what I call a happy medium.
Yeah, it's a happy medium right now because our neighbors on this side just moved. And now I don't have to go and check to make sure there's no drugs in between our houses. And I don't have to worry about all the different people coming in and out, or them making somebody mad and somebody coming, with a gun. I don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. And so, at least at this point,
I know that feeling. I
the
still
house
do.
is empty.
So you guys would die then if you moved to our street. We don't even lock our front door, or we wouldn't be able to get back in the house because we don't have a key.
Oh no.
I don't think our neighbors lock their doors either.
See, I remember growing up where you didn't have to lock your doors because people just didn't just walk into your house.
Or if they did, you know them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And
that's how it was when I was a kid. We didn't ever lock the door. We could go outside and ride our bikes up and down the street or whatever. Yeah. Like go climb a tree or walk through the neighbor's yard to get to your friend's house. I didn't care. Now, if you walk through somebody's yard, you might get shot.
Exactly.
So I have a story. I just admitted this to my husband a few days ago. So he grew up in a town called Bountiful, and so did my oldest son's father. In fact, they went to the same high school together. And so I, have heard stories from both of them about growing up in this small town. And now, 2 decades plus later, sometimes I get their stories mixed up because they have all these similar small town stories of riding their bikes across town and then just different adventures that you can't do there anymore because too many people live there. So it's not dangerous, but the traffic. I used to tell my daughter, I'm like, the chances of you getting ran over by a car are way greater than you getting kidnapped. So go out and play and just look for cars. No one's going to steal you.
Not here. They would steal you. Like last year around this time, I was babysitting my friend's kids downstairs. And I'm outside. This could be where my whole night terrors have been coming from, too, because it's been going on for about a year now. But I was downstairs. I go outside to smoke a cigarette. No big deal. She don't smoke in her house, whatever. This guy starts walking by me. Again, I didn't think anything of it. I thought he was going to ask, do you have a cup of sugar? Can I use your phone? Can I bum a cigarette? Something. No.
Something neighborly.
Yeah. I don't know who this dude was, but he made me feel like I was 2 inches tall because he was so big. And instead of me yelling for help when this guy's trying, I don't know what the heck he was trying to do. He didn't succeed in whatever it was. But instead of me yelling for help, I'm like, let me go. I'm going to beat your ass. It was so bad. Like, he goes, but baby, I just want to take you home with me. I don't know this guy. I don't even know his first name.
Oh, creepy.
I could not even tell you at that moment what his face even looked like.
Creepy.
Because he had my arms, and all I could see was like his hands in front of my face. I could not see anything else. So
that's weird.
I'm like screaming, like I just want to hit him. I don't know. I just like my rage was coming out. And one of the neighbors in the front, because we have a front part of the building, and then I live in the back part. And one of the neighbors called the cops, and the cops showed up as I was like pulling myself out of my jacket. So I guess so I could beat him up. I don't know what was going on really. And I didn't even realize there was a cop standing next to me. All I know is I got myself out of my jacket and this dude took off running. Because I'm like, I'm not that intimidating. I'm only 5 foot tall, so I'm not that intimidating. And then I look over and I see a cop. And by that time, my rage was so bad that I didn't even realize the cop had his arms around me, holding me back because I was going to go after that dude.
That is a weird thing to happen. That's scary.
I've been here for almost 5 years. August of this year will be 5 years that I've lived here. And that's the first time something happened. A couple months ago, somebody tried to walk in my door. I didn't lock it, which I know better, especially when I'm home alone. I know to lock my door. No. But instead of me going and like pushing the door, I like sidekicked the door shut, smacked the guy in the face. He started calling me you don't just walk up in somebody's house. Even if I invite you over, you're going to knock before you even turn the knob. And when you turn the knob, you're going to be like, hey, it's me, and announce yourself. This guy was just going to walk in.
We on the scanner page last night, there was a lady out by the lake that some guys walked into her house, broke into her house. I shouldn't say walked. They broke into her house, duct taped her, and stole from her. Her son came home after work, and he was like, what in the heck? And he, took the duct tape and stuff off, and they called the cops, and so now they're looking for these people that broke into the house. Now, I'm pretty lucky because nobody in our area will mess with anything in our yard, our house, nothing, because, well, have you seen Tommy? I love him to death. He's gorgeous to me, but to everybody else, he's very intimidating. And we have 2 doors down, there's this big tall guy that won't even mess with Tommy. He like crosses the road. Tommy must give this aura of don't mess with my stuff or you're going to end up dead. But so we don't have the issue like everybody else does. Although I did almost have it out with a squirrel. Because, well, things were disappearing in the neighborhood. And I had a hummingbird feeder up on the tree in our front yard. And I thought one of the neighbor kids had stolen it. I was pissed because I had just gotten it and I was happy that I had it and I was going to feed the hummingbird, and then it disappeared. There was no liquid anywhere on the ground. So that's why I thought the neighbor kids had stole it. We found it in the back alley, taken apart and like sprued all over the place. And I was still mad. So we got it, cleaned it up, put it back together, hung it back up in the tree. And I'm like, anybody touches this, I'm going to have it out with them. The same squirrel that took first time tried to take it the second time, and I was yelling at the squirrel. People thought I was crazy, but hey, he was trying to steal my hummingbird feeder.
That is funny. That is really funny. We don't have any squirrels around here.
You're lucky.
We have black squirrels. We have red squirrels. We have an albino squirrel somewhere around in our neighborhood. Cool. I will see that one every once in a while. And then we have one that's like has white, like it's half albino and half color. And I'm not sure where he is either. I only see him once in a great while. But yeah, we have like many different color squirrels in our neighborhood, and I feed them along with the birds. And people think I'm crazy in the neighborhood because I do. I go out and I talk with the birds and I feed them, and then I got my birds inside, and which makes me even more happier because I love birds. And so we have the red-headed woodpeckers in our tree in the front yard. And so I actually talk to them. And I've gotten them down to the point where I have pictures, and I can't find the pictures, but I took pictures of him where he was down at the level of the hummingbird feeder, and he was pecking the tree, and he was humongous.
I've never seen one.
I have to find the pictures. I know I have the pictures because I took them with my phone and I made sure to put them on my computer, and now I can't find them. But when I find them, I will show you. They are the craziest looking bird I've ever seen in my life. And it is. They have a bright red head. It's like Woody Woodpecker. It looks just like Woody Woodpecker. And then we have babies up in the tree. They have babies up there. And they don't come down. But the big ones do. The big ones do.
You have to watch out here for the really fat raccoons that try to attack you.
You know
These
how
raccoons, these raccoons, we have, let's see, there's 2, 3, 4 dumpsters. I live in an apartment complex, so there's dumpsters.
Mhm.
I walk over by the dumpster. If the lid is not open, I won't open it. I'll ask somebody else to come out and open it. I'm not tall enough to even reach the dang thing. But even when I throw stuff away, it's like I have to, it looks like I'm trying to play baseball because I have to like lean this way and then use my whole body to throw it.
I can
That's
see
funny.
the struggle is real.
It is. So to open the lid, I almost need somebody to build a thing around the dumpster so I can actually reach it. Because no. One day I went over there and all I threw was a couple boxes away. Nothing major. Well, I didn't look in the dumpster before I threw them in there, and I threw it and I hit a raccoon with it. And it comes out and it's squawking at me like a bird. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, do I run? Well, I'm just walking really fast. And I'm like, these things can't chase me. They're so fat they can't even run. They're wobbling as they're walking. But these raccoons are like every bit of like almost 2 foot wide. 1.5 to 2 foot wide. They're so fat.
That is funny. We have quail that live on our street. There's a neighbor who has a big pine tree in his backyard, and I think that's home base for him. And in the spring we get some birds. Oh, we have a little garden snake in the backyard somewhere. That's all we got. No real nature around here.
My cat brings home all kinds of things. He brought a snake in my house. I had talking about, I was functioning and having a panic attack at the same time. And I don't know that that's ever happened in my life, but I can't breathe. I trip over my own feet, but I get right back up as if it nothing, like no big deal. And then I go in the living room because he's got it in my living room. He jumped through the window with it in his mouth. I didn't see him. I just happened to see the snake and like freaked out. Stood on my recliner and balanced myself and made a tip so I could go out the door without walking past the snake. Like I was
How big
totally,
is a snake?
huh?
How big of a snake?
I would say it was about 2 to 3 feet long.
Yeah, that would have creeped me out too.
But it was only like the size of maybe a nickel around, so it was still a baby.
Yeah, you can keep the snake. I don't like snakes.
Oh, my neighbor, like nobody that I know back here was home. So I look around the corner because we have an apartment like in the basement part. And I seen he was home. And I knocked on his door. He goes, do you need something? And all I could say is, duh, 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 duh. And he goes, huh?
Crazy lady at my door.
Right. And I'm like, oh, because in my mind, I said, get this effing snake out of my house. But that's not what came out of my mouth. So then the second time I go to say it, the only thing he could understand was cat, snake, living room. And please. And he walks up here and the snake was still alive, which I'm glad I didn't just do what I was going to. I was just going to sweep it up in my dustpan because I have one of those dustpans with a handle. But I thought it was dead. If I would have went to sweep that up in the dustpan and it would have been alive, I would have went outside and waited for somebody to come get it. I would not have came back inside. And here it is, like a whole 15 degrees outside. I have no idea where the cat found this dang snake at because it's cold. But it's 15 degrees outside. I don't put shoes on. I don't have socks on. I'm wearing shorts and a tank top, and I run outside to get my neighbor. And he goes, aren't you cold? And I'm like, not yet. But my adrenaline was rushing. I didn't feel the coldness. I was freaked out that there was a snake in my living room.
That is funny. That is, it's because, yeah, I've seen the snake in the backyard a couple of times. Like, it's just a little green snake, and that's okay as long as it stays up there. The cats haven't brought it in the house.
When they're outside, it's okay. But they bring it in my house, and he brought in a baby bunny one night.
Oh,
I don't
That's
mess with things.
horrible.
I don't mess like no. If it's wild, it needs to stay outside. I'm not touching it because you never know what the thing has. I go downstairs and I knock on my neighbor's door, and she opens the door a little bit because no one's home. I'm like, bitch, get upstairs and get that effing baby bunny out of my. I was like manic yelling at her, and she goes, "Did you just call me a bitch?" I'm like, "I'm sorry." And she goes, "No, it's okay." She goes, "But we've been friends for like 2 years and you've never called me that." And I'm like, "My bad, my bad."
my cat Bellfire, he used to bring me injured animals all the time to the door. And he brought me a baby bunny that had been hit by a car, and it was so bad. And he just kept he brought it to the house, put it on the step, and I just happened to be sitting there, and I'm like, "What in the world are you doing?" And he wanted me to nurse it back to health, and I'm like, I can do that, but I'm not I'm not God. I can't help this one. I'm sorry, Bellfire. But it was so sad, and
That's awful.
it was, and he sat by the bird or the bunny and waited for me to bandage it and heal it like I had magic to do that. But he brought me a lot of birds he brought me to make better. But the bunny one was too much for me, and I put it in a crate on a towel, and I was just gonna let nature take its course. And next thing you know, it hopped out of the basket and took off. So where it passed away at, I don't know. It was pretty bad, but it had a hole in the side, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's gonna make it. Not at all. But it was sad, but at the same time, I'm hoping that it's good and it's somewhere out there. But yeah, Bellfire used to bring me all that kind of stuff. Hello, Beth. Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever talked to you live before.
Yeah, I think we have.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, one different thing about me, I guess, is I started reselling because of my OCD.
Okay.
So I was writing a novel and I worked on it for like 10 years. And because of my OCD and perfectionism, I couldn't edit it and get it done. And so I had all this time I didn't know what to do with. So that's why I started selling on eBay. Because with my OCD, I have to keep my mind constantly on something else, constantly moving. If I have time to think about anything, that's when I'm screwed. So hi, Heather. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Our youngest son is a bit OCD to go along with the autism, ADHD, ODD. The ODD is the thing that drives me and Dwayne crazy. That's probably his biggest obstacle, I think. But yeah, he paces, which we're just used to. He'll pace and rant, and you get used to that kind of behavior. But
my OCD is more mental. So I have I don't have pure O because I've had rituals in the past, but mostly it's not rituals. It's all mental.
Gotcha.
It's a lot of mental checking. Yeah. So eBay was great for that because you have to check your sales and you have to check your likes and you have to check your tweet. So it's constantly stuff I had to check. So that really feeds that for me.
Your outlet. That's really good.
Yeah. Everybody will tell you my OCD is so much better since I started selling online.
Good. That's wonderful.
So yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, I don't
make money, so
I really don't know. I'm more I don't know if I would say I have OCD. I don't know all the forms of OCD. So I wouldn't say I have OCD. I would say I have more of a hoarding problem. It's a mild form of hoarding. and I don't know if hoarding it is part of the
I think so.
mental illness family, but I don't want to get rid of anything, so I can't be a reseller. Tommy's our reseller in the family. And he gets me, and I think I've told this before, he gets it to where he'll like nitpick at me and nitpick at me and nitpick at me until I finally just go and like I'll clean out my closet and I'll clean out my dresser drawers, and then I'll have like 6 bags of clothes, and then I just give him the bags of clothes and he goes and sells them. Or I drop them off at the thrift store if I don't have them in the house at all, because he's got me so agitated with it and stuff. I just take him to the thrift store. He doesn't get to
I wish I had someone to do that for me.
I'm a bit of a minimalist at heart. You would not believe me if you came to see my house right now, because we've been here for 3 years, and the crap breeds. It breeds. I know it does. But I have a good friend who I have offered to help her like de-junk her, because we both have craft rooms. Mine's disastrous right now. But I've told her, I'll help you clean it up when she brings up that she needs to do that. And she says, but you'll throw things away. And I'm like, yeah, I will. And because she is a bit of a hoarder as well. And so she and I kind of have this opposite thing going on, because if something breaks, it's gone. I get rid of it. But
I always want to fix it.
And
need to part it out.
And for Dwayne, with doing the reselling, as long as everything is accounted for, like his inventory, it's accounted for, it's numbered, it's put into the inventory room, and I'm fine with that. It's when the stuff starts piling up in the basement and in the garage, and then I'm like, because it just looks like garbage to me when it's like that. So I'm just like, throw it all away. But I can't say anything right now, though. My craft room is side shuffle only. So
I'm in the mode right now is I want to move. I want to buy a house. But what stops me is when I think about packing all this stuff up and disassembling my shelves and getting everything. Oh God, just a thought of that was like, okay, forget it.
Yeah.
Stay here.
Yeah, when we moved here, I swear it was going to kill me. I even told my oldest son, he where he works, one of the perks there is using a box truck when no one's looking. And so he and some buddies came over with the box truck over the weekend and loaded up where we were living and moved it. I'm like, watching you move my stuff was so exhausting, it nearly killed me. But you just hint at the word move, and I'm already packing, because I moved so much as a kid that we would pack up the house in a weekend. And so I'm a master packer. I have a hard time unpacking. We lived in a house for 11 years. It was mine and Dwayne's first house, and I never actually moved in because I was ready to move at any time. And so that's my end of things when it comes to stuff. But I'm doing better here. We've put things on the walls in the front room, so I consider that a good job for me.
That's awesome.
Thank you. And I have 2 things on the walls in my bedroom. So
yeah, our bedroom walls have hats. Tommy's hat collection is on the wall.
That sounds very fun.
And then we have the 2 dream catchers.
I have 1.
And I think that's all that we have on the walls. Oh, my cross that I got from my dad. That was my uncle's who passed away. So I have that on the wall as well. And it's right next to the door. And I remember growing up that my dad always had that cross right outside his bedroom door on the wall. And so now I'm kind of carrying over that tradition. but it's in our room instead of
Cool.
on the outside of the door or the room. And I think my hoarding issue is because of moving and having to pick up and losing so much stuff. And we've been here for almost 7 years in this house, and we have a huge storage unit that is full of stuff, and not all my stuff, but majority of it is my stuff. We have a Christmas closet upstairs that is full of stuff, and like I have to have, like, common sense for my printing area would be to have all my materials right here where I can just reach and grab. No, I have plants. I have my knickknacks. I have to have that stuff near me, and I don't understand why I have to do that, because for a better flow, you would think that I would want all of this not here so that I can just grab the materials when I need them and stuff like that when I'm working on a project. But I can't, like, part with it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It's calming. It calms you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll show you guys my little area right now.
Taking it away is going to cause you anxiety then.
Yeah, so we have, like, I have all the plants here, and then I have my messy folders here. And I do have some cups and stuff down here that for our printing. Then I have the basket, and then on the other side there's some knickknacks. And then in front of my computer, I have my icicle lights, and then I have my little bells and my little leprechaun and some necklaces and stuff. But this is my little area that I have to have this stuff near me. And like my desk, it's kind of messy. I got to go through. I got my color changing light that Tommy got me. It's a Himalayan salt lamp.
I have 2 of those.
And this one changes colors, and I love it because I have it. I have this weird thing with color changing lights. Like I have to have one near me. So I don't know what that's all about. And then I have my little shelf. Right now I have Tommy's hat up here, but the birds like to sit up here when I'm working, and so they have like their own little cushion. They stole my scarf that I got from Leticia, and then I got a book and hand sanitizer. I have to have it near me, and I think that's Tommy's fault. The hand sanitizer thing. Now I can't go away from my desk without having my hand sanitizer near me. He loves the smell of it, but I have to use it a lot. So. But I mean, granted, it's kind of a messy area, but it's my area and it flows for me, but it's not 100% flowing, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, I got you. Because like I said, I have my craft room that is just disastrous. And for some reason, I haven't been able to motivate myself to clean it up. I really need to. But I do have my things that, like you said, you like to have them where you can see them. And I have a stuffed animal that I've had since I was 4 or 5. And I remember when I got it, but I just don't remember, what for sure how old I was. And I've never packed that stuffed animal away. And wherever I live, it's out where I can see it. And so it's in my craft room in the closet on the top shelf.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to have my stuffed animal from when I was little out and about because it creeps everybody out.
And what is it, a monkey?
Yeah.
Is it with the monkeys with the plastic faces?
Yeah, let me go grab them. I'll be right back. I have to run to the potty real quick, but I will be right back.
Okay, so this is the difference between me and you guys. I need things that I need thoughts in my head to calm me. So instead of objects, I have my thoughts. So, and as long as nobody knows what my thoughts are, it doesn't really matter because nobody hears them, right?
Yeah.
So that's what
That's very
that's what I
interesting.
do.
Yeah. Well, and two, you might think this sounds kind of nuts, and that's okay. But sometimes, if I'm open-minded enough, sometimes I feel like I can kind of like receive messages, and basically of just I guess encouraging me to keep moving forward. And well, the biggest one I ever got was one that told me to go to the hospital when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I was like, no, I'm not going. And it came again, go to the hospital, and I did, and they're like, yeah, we need to we need to get her, because
Wow.
yeah, that was my biggest all time. And because she was breech and early, a little bit early, and I was dilated, so they had to hurry and do a C-section. But I have to be in the right frame of mind. If I'm too bogged down with other stuff, then I don't.
Right.
Get those.
Well, Destiny, I'm going to hop off here. I got a lot of work to do. I just want to thank you for having the show. It is so needed out there. And I also want to, I don't know if you saw my message, but I just resubscribed to you. I took a 6-week social media break and I deleted everybody's account because I just could not handle all the notification. I turned the notifications off first, and that didn't even work because I could still see them coming up. Suggested video. So I deleted like 400 accounts. So I'm just now going back, and people are like, "You're not subscribed to me," But
I completely understand. Sometimes we have to have that break, and it is perfectly all right. But thank you again for subscribing. That's awesome. Real quick, this is my creepy monkey.
Oh, yeah.
His name is Zippy. He actually is a Zippy doll, our monkey. His original outfit, I don't know whatever happened to it, but across his shirt was yellow, but it had Zippy across the shirt. And then he had like overalls and stuff like that. But yeah, he's got the plastic shoes. And I have a different outfit on him now. But this is my Zippy. He's in our room and he creeps Tommy out, and there's nothing that he can do. And I have a baby blanket too that my mom knitted me for when I got bigger, but like older. But this is he's 39, gonna be 40, if not 41, because my mom got him when she was pregnant with me.
He's
and so I know he's a lot older. He's vintage.
Yeah, I've had mine since the 70s, my stuffed animal. Oh, I guess he's vintage too.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's got a tag or anything. I know he's been stitched and gone through quite a few different outfits. Tommy actually cleaned his face for me. Tommy's like, I hate that thing. I know, because he sits in our bed and Tommy's like, it's watching me. And I'm like, yes, it is. It's like Annabelle.
Heather, do you feel like you also connect to the other world? You do.
Yeah.
My daughter has a pillow from her grandfather, and she swears he speaks to her through that pillow, and she will never get rid of it. She just will not.
There's the attachment there. For, yeah. And okay, here's my other thing. People sometimes think I don't like books, but I do like books, but I have a hard time going into a library or a used bookstore because there's too much energy attached to the books.
Yeah.
But I can go into like Barnes and Noble and I'm fine. But if I'm in a library and I get this specific headache, or even just like walking past all the used books, so like Savers, I just got to get this thing. And it's just because so much energy goes into books. Now, I do have some used books. I'm not opposed to them. I just can't be around a lot of them because of all the energy they hold.
I get like that in an antique store.
But you ladies have an awesome day. May God keep you in his pocket and paddle on.
And much love, Beth. Thank you for
Great
stopping.
to talk to you, Beth.
Bye-bye. Nice to meet you, Heather.
Nice to meet you. See, I'm sharing all kinds of my crazy secrets.
It's okay. We can be crazy together.
And well, so I don't get out a whole lot, and it's not that I am not social. In fact, I went to a church. My neighbor called me and asked if I wanted to go to a church thing, and I went. And I came home and I was so proud of myself because I was appropriate for 3 hours. I didn't swear for 3 hours. And
Yeah, that would be a record for me too.
and I didn't say anything crude or anything, no sexual references, no that's what she said for 3 hours. So I had to come home and brag to Dwayne about how good I was.
That's
And
great.
because if I'm going to go into a situation like that, I do not go with judgment. You know, I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I have judgment. And so I just go with an open mind and open heart. But the whole time in my brain, I'm like filtering before I open my mouth to make sure that I don't say something that is very much me, just shouldn't be saying at that point in time.
Yeah.
So,
Broken.
yeah, I really work on that. My daughter's is horrible. She got that from me. I I think it's a part of the bipolar. I've never met someone with bipolar that doesn't struggle with a filter. And the thing is people think you are actually saying what you feel. And I'm like, no, I'm giving you my opinion. You don't want to know what I'm feeling.
Right. Exactly. And that's the thing, it's people who don't struggle don't or can't relate.
Yeah, and you can't explain it. Yeah, you can't really. It's something that someone has to experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was diagnosed with bipolar, I was in my mid-30s, and I figured I had been bipolar for 20 years. But like I said, between the stress of raising children and then the fibro, it took it to the next level.
Yep.
And for me, though, it wasn't a devastating diagnosis. For me, it was like, oh my gosh, that explains so much. Holy cow. Life makes so much more sense now. And no wonder why I think everybody else is so boring. They don't have, because the definition of bipolar, the very baseline of it is 2 or more emotions at any given time. And I'm like, oh, please, bitch. I start at 4 on a good day.
Wow.
It's like, what are you talking about 2 emotions? It's like, who's that simple?
And that's the thing, like that's for me, I have like I don't know how to explain certain emotions that I'm having because I can't put them into words because I don't know exactly what the emotion is.
Yeah.
And so, and I've asked him, I'm like, am I bipolar? And he's looked at me, said, it's like, you are not bipolar. I know bipolar people. You are not bipolar. He thinks that I am misdiagnosed. He thinks there's more going on than what they've diagnosed me with so far. And I've had where when the mental health really started to show signs, I was misdiagnosed as bipolar. They diagnosed me with bipolar, and then they did more testing or talking or whatever it is that they did. I was 20, 20, or in my 20s, early 20s, when they first diagnosed me and everything. And then they were like, well, you're not bipolar, you have severe depression, you have anxiety, you have PTSD, which I have PTSD because of the abuse that I went through. And then, you know, which triggered my anxiety, which triggered my depression, which triggered this whole stream of different things. And really, Thomas? He's being sassy. She's not bipolar. She's just a wee bit crazy. That's all.
You know, mental diagnosis has changed so much over the past, 20 years that who knows now what they would say. I
know that they keep changing
the
names of diagnosis.
Yes. If I was to have been diagnosed, before I was, I'm sure it would have been something completely different than them deciding it was bipolar 2. And let's see what's going on. My laptop freezes up on me sometimes.
Oh, I went through that a lot too with my laptop. I don't go live from it anymore because of the fact that it likes to be a pain to me.
Yeah, I don't have. I have the YouTube pulled up, but I'm not on the tab because it freezes up. And right now, it's just doing the cycling thing. But a lot of the time, when I can't tell you how I feel, is that the emotions are just too ugly to want to give words to.
Okay.
And like I said, there's no logic behind it. It's emotion, but there's no, sometimes there's not even anything that provokes it. It's just there. And to try and explain what I'm thinking, it just sounds so crazy that and then it's hard to know what to do with that.
Right, because once you it comes out of your mouth exactly what you're feeling. I mean, for me, it's like you can't take that back, and then you feel like people are judging you because of how you're feeling at that moment, and then that on top of already feeling that way, it's like it's to me it seems like it gets worse. So a lot of times I'm just like, no, I'm all right, but I have like 50,000 things that are shooting around in my head like a pinball machine, and it's like trying to grab the right word or the right term or the right way to explain it. It's hard. Now I go into crying fits, like everything. For some reason, I start crying for no reason. I have no reason. There's nothing happened. And Tommy was like, why are you so emotional? And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on with me. I just started crying and I can't stop. And I haven't had one of those episodes in a bit, but I can feel when certain ones are coming. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, oh no, this is coming. I can feel it's coming. I just don't know when it's going to happen, and beware, like I can feel that the crying part of my mental health is going to hit at any time, that no matter what anybody says, I'm just going to break down and cry, be it nice, be it mean, be it, honest, whatever. And it's hard to know when that's going to start.
My daughter is very much that way.
And Tommy 2.0, heads up, the crying one's coming.
I usually get mad over something that would, if I'm doing okay, it would certainly be an irritation or an unhappiness about it, but it makes me really mad. And then as I had just been sharing, talking with my neighbors the other day about how if I get really mad over something and I freak out, and Dwayne just lets me freak out, and then I start bawling, and then he asks me if I need my medication adjusted. And then I'll be annoyed, and then I'll give a few days, and then I will make an appointment if I don't have one already. And
have you ever gotten to the point where he's like, "You need your medication adjusted"? Do you ever turn around and look at him? Why does it always have to be my medication? Why can't it just be I'm having an emotional breakdown and you can't accept it?
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Tommy always is like, honey, you need to go on medication. I'm like, I don't need medication. Seriously, why do you want to medicate me? I am fine. And then I'm like, oh crap, I'm not fine.
or like when I haven't for a long time just gone off my medication. I used to do that. But I have a lady, she's a prescribing nurse of psychiatrist. She works in a psychiatrist's office. She's only $100 an hour to see, but out of pocket. But when, the whole annoyance of going through the no, I don't need my medication adjusted, or if it's doing well, and I'm thinking about how I'm not bipolar, I'm fine. And it's like, oh, wait, because I'm on antipsychotics, I'm fine. And there is that love-hate relationship with the medication. And then when you get, now I know people handle things differently, but when you get people talking about that, big pharma, sure, big pharma's Satan, but, they doctors just pushing medication on you and just all this, and it's like, I could go off of it and I wouldn't be here anymore, and then I wouldn't have any problems.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I should clarify a little bit. Like when I decided to finally step out there and do this, I guess, there are people that need the medication, but then there's other people that, doctor-wise, they purposely don't put you on the medication that you should be on because they're getting paid. So they're going to try all these other medications first, and then they'll maybe eventually come around to the medication that you really need. And for me, it's really hard because I felt and I've said this before, I feel like I failed, not as much now as when I first ended up being put back on medication, but I felt like I failed to be able to control this, to be able to, get myself to a point where I could function as normal as possible. And I couldn't do it. So I felt like a huge failure.
Yeah.
I've been on the medication for 7 weeks now, maybe. And I got to the point where I'm like, oh, this is working. This is awesome. It's helping me control my temper. It's helping me to control, because I personally know that I flew off the handle for just the most ridiculous things. I was yelling at my kids for spilling water. It's like, can't you clean that up? Can't your hands just hold the cup like it's supposed to? And so when it got to the point where I knew there was absolutely no ifs, ands, or buts that I had to go back on medication, and they avoided me in the mornings, especially in the mornings. That was my worst part, was mornings, because I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't, I would have these bizarre, trippy, scary nightmares, and then I would wake up and I'd just be like ornery and very like I wanted to fight with somebody, but I didn't know what way was what and this and that. And I mean, there were times that I had dreams that Tommy cheated on me, and I would wake up yelling at him I mean, poor Tommy, he was sleeping sound asleep next to me. And I wake up and I'm shaking him going, you SOB, I can't believe you cheated on me. He's like, what? And I'm like, wait, hold on. Because they feel so real. The night felt so real. And so Tommy's had to deal with a lot. The kids have had to deal with a lot. And I know I don't talk about my son as much as I talk about my daughter, but I'm not ready to talk about my son right now. And so my daughter, you know, she's a little bit of Tommy, a little bit of me, all mixed in one, but she doesn't have a mental health issue. My son, there are things that are going on with him that I'm just not ready to share with everybody. There are some people out there that know what's going on because they've helped me and Tommy kind of talk things through, but I will share things about my son when the time is right. And so right now it's not. So I do have two children. I do have two children. It's just one is I'm able to talk about more than the other at this time.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if that makes any sense to
No,
anybody out there.
I hear you.
And so yeah, but yes, I do have two children and I love them both very, very much. So there.
Well, I have 3 kids, and I do know what you mean because I think oftentimes people think I only have 2, because I have 2 with Dwayne, and then my oldest son, he's been out of the house since 2011. And he's gonna be 27 in a couple of weeks. But yeah, what he did is so he married his high school sweetheart, still together, and she's bipolar. I'm like, yeah, you went from a bipolar mother to a bipolar wife because that's something you're comfortable with. That's something you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no. But we love Kat. She's very sweet. But no, I do know just on account of in a lot of ways, I had a very complicated relationship with my oldest son. He and and I've always taken responsibility for it because I was the adult, I was the parent, but he's my only child that I would get in screaming matches with. But then I grew up, you know, and I met Dwayne, and then we had Natalie and Jeremy, and so I've always felt like I've been a better mother to Natalie and Jeremy. But I've always said I've been a decent big sister to my oldest son. But I do understand the complicated relationship. And the love isn't any less. The love is the same. You know, for however many kids you have. What are you reading?
So no money.
Let me see if mine. Okay.
I popped it up on the screen. It says, I was given every antidepressant man has made, and they all screwed me up. One, I felt like an acid trip big time, which I don't know what that's like. I know my medicine makes me feel drunk. And so they had me taking it at night so that I'm not all drunky feeling during the day. And had to leave work. None worked for me.
And you know what? Unfortunately, depending upon what state you live in, there is a medication out there that works for a lot of people if you live in the right state.
Yeah. Yes, I know what you're talking about. I can't wait till it's okay here. Or we're going to move to a state that is okay.
Living in Utah, we will be the last state on the planet for recreational. It's a mess. The people voted for medicinal, and then the government tried to government tried to take that away, what people voted for. and things got ugly. And we live in a nanny state. It's really awful. The government tries to control everything.
Oh, wow.
And anyway, supposedly we're going to be getting medicinal, but right now it's looking like you have to be on your deathbed to get it. It's ridiculous. And yet Nevada and Colorado is legal. So I always say there's all kinds of legal weed in Utah. It's just from other states. And the thing is so Utah has way too many kids. We have the most kids per capita. If we legalized weed, recreational, we would actually have money to educate our too damn many children. But why would we want to do that?
Right?
Yeah. So
why my children are homeschooled.
And my kids, we went through so much. We did charter schools. We did public schools. My kids always drove me too crazy to homeschool them. Plus, they never listened to me. And, as adults, they're like, Mom, you were right about whatever. I'm like, yeah, I know. You know how I know? Because I made the same stupid mistake.
I can't wait for my kids are older and say that to me, because
it's a long time coming, but it will. And then you just nod your head and say, yeah, I know.
That's what you get for not listening to your mama.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that, like as for when they were teenagers, Jeremy's 19, but if they did something that was kind of a dumb teenager thing, I would always ask myself, did I make the same mistake? Why, yes, I did. I did even worse. So I'm not going to make a big deal out of it because everyone's alive. Everyone's okay. It was an opportunity to learn.
When my son turned 13, I was like, I had one of those aha moments. I was like, I kept him alive for 13 years.
Yeah.
Yay, me. Pat myself on the shoulder. My daughter turned 12, and I was like, she was the one that I really couldn't believe I kept alive, because she's my adrenaline junkie. She's the one that, like, wants to do everything. She wants to jump off the cliffs into the water. She wants to ride motorcycles, which she knows how to do. Now she wants to get into racing, and she's 12 years old. I'm like, can you slow down and let me just catch up to one thing at a time? But she does. She'll go down the ski hill over here for sledding. And like 2 years ago, maybe it was 3 years ago, or even 4. I know within the last couple of years, the girl went down a steep hill with a little, like, bushy thing, whatever that ramp, and she went down it, and she flew, and the sled went this way, and she landed on her back, and I thought for sure she was paralyzed. I really thought she was paralyzed from the middle of her back down, because it knocked her out, and we had to. Tommy and a friend of hers that she went to school with, her dad went rushing over to her to make sure, because she wasn't moving. So
wow.
That either she knocked herself out or something was, we knew something was up. And she was laughing. She cried at first, and then she was laughing. She got up, she walked it off. 5 minutes later, she wanted to go down that hill again, and I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to chance that again, because this time you probably would break your back. All crazy. These different things, and she's still so young, and yeah, I was getting to that, Tommy. I was getting to that. She wants to do all these different things, and she doesn't want to have children. She wants to adopt, which is perfectly fine with us. I don't want to be a grandma when she's young. I want her to go and live her life and stuff like that before she has kids. And yesterday we actually went. So yesterday we went and we got our daughter her first car yesterday. It is a 93 Probe. And she is on cloud 9. Let me pull up a picture. She got in it the second that we walked up to the car. I was able to snap one picture before she climbed in it.
Oh, awesome. Where do you live? I don't even know.
We live in Wisconsin.
Okay, that's cute. So it's even colder where you are than it is here.
Yeah, this was 13 degrees.
Oh, heavens.
Um,
Let's see. I'm trying to see. I'm looking at my phone to see what it is here. Oh, it says it feels like 20. So it says it's 37, but feels like 27 out.
yeah, we had
So it's toasty here.
rain that turned into ice, that turned into snow, that turned into rain, that turned into ice, and it's finally stopped snowing right now, but it's 28 and feels like 16.
So do you get those ice storms that like freeze people's doors closed and then people have to like chip their neighbors out of their houses?
Yeah, we get those. Not often, but we do get those. Oh, hey, Anthony, welcome. Victoria, welcome.
Let me see if my YouTube will work yet. Every time I go to it, it just freezes up.
Yeah, mine, I get kicked out of it a lot when I'm trying to type. A lot of times it kicks me out. It stinks. And I don't know why that is. Or it'll play, like, I'll be watching it, the live, so that I can see the chat. And then all of a sudden somebody else pops up, but it's still my chat.
And I saw something that Dwayne said about 6 days, not a couple of weeks. I don't even know what that was about.
A birthday?
Oh, my son's birthday. Oh my gosh, he's right. Oh, you know, knowing that I have been a mother for 27 years, it just, and
You do not look like you have a child that's going to be 27 years old.
well, thank you. I'm always very, very flattered whenever somebody says that. His whole life, I've had people ask if I was 14 when I had him. I'm like, sure, we'll go with that.
My mom tells everybody she was 5 when she had me.
Oh, funny. Let's see.
Like,
I'm looking
there, Mom.
I'm looking for a picture of my kids. Maybe I'll find one. There's so much junk in my phone of unnecessary. Yeah, you probably won't be able to see it. I have one of him with his dad's family. But so far, all of my kids, because by the time I was Ian's age, Jeremy was on the way. When I was Natalie's age, I had Ian, and when I was Jeremy's age, I was pregnant with Ian. So all of my kids have gotten further than I did as far as becoming adults before having children. And so I'm happy about that, although I would like grandchildren.
I agree. Like Lynn says, Heather looks very young, and I will have to agree with that.
Well, thank you. I don't even have my hair makeup going on. So, oh, let's see. Here, okay, here's my daughter. This was not this past Christmas, but the one before.
She's very pretty.
Yes. And my youngest son, finding a picture where he's not pulling a stupid face is impossible.
Yeah.
Doesn't everybody have one of those kids? And oh yeah, here he is. This was a year and a half ago, getting a haircut. His hair's longer again. His hair was down to his shoulders, and he chopped it off, but he's grown it out again. He's got really thick hair like his father. So does Natalie.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sometimes having hair isn't as awesome, but
No, they all complain about how hot and heavy it gets. Well, Dwayne always keeps his hair short, but I know Dwayne cannot find any pictures he's got. Maybe his mother has some of his mullet back in the 80s. Because he had this red wavy mullet going down his back back in the day. He had way more hair than there was of him. And because both of Dwayne and I were pretty scrawny kids and teenagers. We've made up for it now. The shit that happens that you swear will never happen, and then it does, and you're like, "What? This is not my life."
I was a size 4 in high school.
Yep, right there with you. In fact, I was excited when I got to a size 4 because then my clavicle bones weren't sticking out anymore. Yeah, that was an achievement to get to a size 4. And I was always one of those kids that my friends' mothers were like, "You need an extra sandwich."
Yeah. Dwayne says I used to roll over it with a crimper all the time. Oh,
the creepers that go under the cars. And
yeah, that had to hurt. Hi, Marie. Welcome. I think I missed you coming in, and I apologize.
Oh, here we go. Here's a picture of my oldest son. He had just had it. Oh, it's braided. Sometimes his beard is grown out long, but okay, there's my oldest son.
Wow.
And he is a little over 6 feet tall, and he came out that size. That's my claim.
You have one more that you're going to show? If you can find it.
And,
or no, you have 3 kids. Duh.
And so, yeah.
Before. You have very adorable children.
No, I don't even know how I survived getting them into this world and raising them. I am not that hardy of a person, and yet somehow I did it.
I can relate. My son was almost 23 inches long when he was born.
Oh, wow.
And I am 5 foot, and my torso is not very big.
Yes.
So, yeah, it took me forever to walk from the car to the front door, and we would park as close as we could, and it'd still take me an hour to waddle my butt all the way to the door of the house.
Oh, my gosh.
I was huge. When I would sit down, I would, like, my belly would literally hang over my knees because it was so big. And
so everybody was asking if you're having twins, I'm sure.
And yeah, people thought I was having twins. And then, so I was very surprised when they said, "Nope, you just have one baby in there." And I'm like, holy crap, that's just one baby.
Yeah, I carried all out front, and I'm 5'6", but I just carried right in front of me. And so I carried Ian the longest. I didn't get Natalie or Jeremy to term, but and people, with Natalie, I started lying about my due date because everybody thought I was further along, so I just lied about it, and she was born early. But yeah, some women love being pregnant. They have these wonderful pregnancies, and that's terrific. I hated being pregnant and did not have healthy pregnancies. And I swear that's part of what damaged my health permanently, was going through so much. And it's like...
Joey was 2 weeks late.
Oh, wow.
And I was already big, and I just felt like I was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I was told, like, he was supposed to be born on my birthday, which is February 20th. he wasn't born until March 9th. And then I went through 75 hours worth of labor with him. Had a male doctor tell me, because I told him, I think he's stuck. Had a male doctor tell me, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. He's not stuck. Then ended up having to have an emergency C-section because, lo and behold,
He was stuck.
And so, yeah, it's, and then they had to put me under because the medicine that was supposed to make everything numb wasn't kicking in, and they had to get him out. So I ended up with a C-section, put under 2 hours after he was born. I came to out of all the anesthetic and everything, and I thought I had been in a car accident. I could not process that I had a child. I could not process that I had a C-section. And I kept asking the nurse what happened. She kept telling me, you had a baby. And I'm like, having a baby does not involve being put under. I'm like, what happened? And so, yeah. And then, of course, my son had to be the little flirt with the nurses. And he was the only baby in there after when he was born. And then, of course, you know, a couple of days later, we were in the hospital for over a week. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And so he had all the nurses to himself for a couple of days. And then another baby came in. And it was like, I did not want any more kids after that, like, whole ordeal. And then 18 months later, I had my daughter. I was like, wait a minute. When I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, I was like, my sister is the one that told me I was pregnant. And I looked at her and said, no, I'm on birth control, so I don't get pregnant. And yeah, I got pregnant. I was pregnant with Jaslyn. She had a twin. He didn't make it. But my sister went out and bought a pregnancy test, put it on the back of the toilet, and left, got on her plane. And just as she was getting on her plane, she tells me, I have something in the bathroom for you. And I'm like, what's that? And she's like, go look. So that's when I found out I was pregnant with Jaslyn and her twin. She was getting on the plane when I found out I was pregnant. And I'm like,
Dwayne brought home a pregnancy test when I was pregnant with Jeremy because he told me I was pregnant. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And so he came home with the test. And yes, I was. So Natalie and Jeremy are 2 years apart to the day. They're birthday twins.
oh, wow.
Yeah. And when I went to the hospital in labor with him and we told them that it was our daughter's second birthday, and they're like, we can slow your labor down. I said, no, you can't. I don't care what day it is. And I went in there and I was so ornery. He was 4 weeks early, but I was so ornery that is why I had him. It was like, you have to get this baby out of me. I cannot do this anymore. But he was fine because they had given me the steroid shot to finish his lungs because they knew he was going to be early. And I'd been on bed rest and I was like, can't do it anymore. But yet Ian was posterior forceps delivery. Natalie was an urgent C-section, and Jeremy I just was able to have and without any problem. And so I'm like, good, stopping point. This is the only thing I want to remember. And I guess the only thing I was blessed with is I did not have the long labors. Like that I had the 2 contractions with Natalie, and it was like someone telling me go to the hospital, and I was dilated to a 6.
Oh, wow.
Her foot, they could feel her foot, but I already knew she was breech, so I knew she was going to be a C-section.
Yeah, I went into early labor with Joey, and they stopped my labor because they're like, oh, it's too soon. And I'm like, okay, well, then he didn't want to come out. And then my daughter, because it had been still pretty close together and having Joey and then getting pregnant with Jaslyn and Jasper. And then they thought I had lost her twin. And so, because I had fallen down some stairs and they thought I had miscarried him because they couldn't find him. And so I got very lucky to still have my daughter, and it was hard, but I was like, well, I still have my daughter. And that put me into post, like when I had her, I was like depressed for a year. Like I still took care of her and everything. I just, every time I looked at her, I felt horrible because she was going to grow up without her twin.
Does she feel like she's missing something?
Is she? I don't think so. Like she talks about them and stuff like that. Like when she was younger, she used to like sit all by herself and like talk to somebody. But
She was talking to him.
Yeah, and so not a whole lot, but like I think he's there with her, but I think they like more merged because she's got a boy personality and a girl personality put together, and
Very interesting.
it is a very interesting thing because she's all tomboy, but she will dress up in furry pink dresses and put makeup on and put heels on and then go jump on her motorcycle that she had. And I'm like,
how old is she?
She's 12.
Okay, my 12-year-old is that exact same way. She will she will be like, Mom, can I wear this dress? And then she wants to go play in the dirt with the boys in the trucks.
Yeah, and I don't know.
So, yeah.
We live out in the country. Like, Jasmine actually told us that she doesn't feel like a country girl. She's not a country girl. She is a city girl. The girl has never lived in the city her whole life. Like, she's never been in the city to live.
But that's what calls to her.
Yeah, but she's our social butterfly, where Joey's not. And so, but Jaslyn had a rough start. So they scheduled my C-section. They're like, oh, you're due at the beginning of December. And I'm like, okay. So we scheduled her the C-section. When she was born, they found out, she was supposed to be a Christmas baby. She was way smaller than what she was supposed to be. And the doctor was like, oh crap. And so Jaslyn was on a Billy blanket for 3 months because her liver didn't want to work. And you look at her now and you can't even tell that she had any, like she never had the rough start when she came into this world. And
that's great.
That's why she's my shining star, because she is, with as rough of a start as she had when she was born, it never slowed her down. Never. And she's my adrenaline junkie, and I blame Tommy for that. And because she is Tommy's mini-me, I am telling you, through and through, that girl is just like Tommy. It's crazy.
That is funny.
But, and that's the thing, I feared, because I was told I couldn't have children, and then I found out that I was pregnant with Joey. I feared that he was going to be, or any of my children actually, was going to be affected by mental illness. And I didn't, I always wanted to be a mom, but then when all the mental health issues happened, and then some other health issues happened, and they told me I couldn't have any kids. And I was like, well, maybe that's good. As hard as it was for a pill to swallow, I felt that none of my kids would be affected by mental health. And so now I have 2. I am very blessed to have 2. I actually wanted 6 kids. I wanted 5 boys and 1 girl. And I feel like I got my 1 boy, and then I got my 4 other boys and my girl on 1.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I have video on my Facebook of her when she was on her motorcycle. She is going to be the one that travels. She's going to be the one that's going to be doing all that crazy stuff that happens, like jumping out of an airplane and stuff like that. And Tommy even said, let me pull that up. You know, Tommy and Jasmine, they have a bond like no other. Tommy will be thinking something and Jasmine will say it. Or Jasmine will be like trying to explain something and like she's thinking about it in her head and then Tommy will say it. They have their own little language that they do, like sounds like, and they understand each other what they're saying, and then Jasmine will go get a soda, like he'll say something like get me a soda, but I don't understand a word he's saying. And Jasmine will get up and she'll go do it. And I'm like, oh, what in the heck was that? And, you know, I kind of feel left out at times because I don't understand either one of them when they're doing that kind of thing. But I am at the same time so happy that they have the bond that they have.
Absolutely, yes.
You know, because she tells it like it is. He tells it like it is. And they tell each other how it is going to be. And sometimes they're pretty hilarious to watch. But I'm just so thankful that Jasmine's not affected with mental health.
That is really good.
I'm very glad with that. And it's a relief.
Yeah.
At least at this point, she's not showing any signs of it. But I'm just, I have that big relief that she's not affected at this point. Hi, Anamora, welcome. Hello, Kim A, welcome. Larry, welcome. I don't know, I said hello to Pat D's, Charlie, AKA Pat D's.
Hey, Pat.
I think I welcomed everybody else. The chat's going, like over here, it's going really fast. And then over here in the StreamYard, it's going really slow. It's like one at a time. And then all of a sudden it'll go, whew, and then it'll go one at a time. I don't know. Welcome back, Amy. I hope everything's okay with your phone call. Oh.
Yeah, my dad was just telling me that my kid wanted me to spend the night.
Oh, that's cool.
He does. I'm here, but he wants me to stay the night there. So I'm like, okay, he wins. He usually, this is his weekend to come here, but he's like, I hurt everywhere, Mom. I don't feel good. I just want to lay around and watch movies. I'm like, okay. Like my tooth hurts, and I think somebody gave me a cold. I don't know who, but somebody over here. So I'm just like, okay. I could just lay around and watch movies too. That's good.
How old is he?
16.
16. Yeah, by that age, I was let Ian take over how much he saw his dad. Probably before then. Man, I cut myself out of that equation as soon as I could.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, whenever, go.
When it comes to Andrew, I'm like his only parent. Like his dad is nowhere around. So me and my fiance are his parents. So when it comes to him, I don't treat him different, but he is more of a mama's boy than the older one. If that makes sense. But they talk some of the things that my kids talk to me about. I'm mind boggled about it. Like at the time, my oldest one was 15 talking to me about sex, and I'm just like, hold on, let me gather my thoughts here.
And and I remember when my kids started talking about things, and I was thinking, we have an open door, we're communicating, stay calm, and just listen. And Ian, he grew up with 4 parents, and one time I took him in to talk with a counselor, and she said, well, you know, he may have 4 parents, but you are his mother. I'm like, oh, I better be. And he's so much like his dad. It is so weird. It's like, how does that even happen? Sure, he says dad through his whole childhood, but I don't know. It's bizarre. And I've wondered if his dad's other boys, he's got 3 other boys, and I've wondered if they're like him. But it's so strange how
Andrew,
you
that
just don't know
doesn't
what he's
have
going to show up.
anything to do with him. Hasn't for like 5 years.
Oh, that's
Is
hard.
this going
Yeah, no,
crazy
Ian
on me here?
works. Ian doesn't live that far from his dad, and they work for the same company. They've always had a relationship. Ian's relationship with his stepmom has
That's
been
good.
a bit complicated, but that's because I don't know what her deal is. I got nothing. But no, like I said, I tried to remain calm as my kids were going through the teen years and doing the teen things. And because if you freak out, they stop
hard.
telling you what's going on. That was something. Okay, so Dwayne has his story talking to his brother about that our daughter had told us she was going to smoke pot, and Dwayne told her he didn't think it was a good idea. I told her that she shouldn't, or that I didn't think it was a good idea because she didn't have her inhaler, and she did it, and it was bad. And anyway, his brother Dwayne had shared this story just a couple weekends ago, and his brother said that he would have threatened a drug test on her, and I'm like, and I thought about it for a moment. I'm like, I would have performed a drug test the way I performed a lie detector test. That means I looked at him, and everything would come spilling out. And but that takes a lot of time and letting your children know. I'm like, short of being a serial killer, I got your back. Is what I've told them. And like that you have to put time into that. And I'm not saying that relationships aren't going to be complicated, but I've always been glad that my kids will tell me things. And now, I wasn't expecting the video I got from my adult son of him being so high that he was complaining that he couldn't swallow. But I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's true. Dwayne said, but the fact that she came to us first, that is the difference.
For Renser?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's never smoked weed since then. Oh, we got feedback.
We have 2 of you. Oh, there's.
She'll have to come back in.
Yep, she's back.
I was switching my phone. Hold on 1 second, guys.
Oh.
Okay, there. I don't use this phone too often, and I was trying to wait for my dad to answer me back on my other one. That is that actual phone, which is the one I'm on now. I think that's why it was freezing up too. Okay, I'm good now.
Are you? Oh, good.
Sorry, I had to find out where my son was. Jazzy was in the house, but he's still outside playing. We a couple weeks ago. He's 14, and Jazzy's friend wrote a note to him, a love note, and I still haven't figured out how to process it. He's 14. I'm not ready for this. I was making sure that they weren't outside playing by themselves.
I've learned the hard way that my 12-year-old should not have Snapchat.
Yeah.
For one, it is my fault because I didn't check into it a little more. I thought Snapchat was just filters, pictures, nothing nothing too weird. I did not realize that they could text and call these people at the same time.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
they
know
could
anything
do.
about Snapchat.
They could do video chat. They could talk like you're talking, like how Messenger works. You could do video chat, or you could just talk or send message. That's exactly what Snapchat is, with cute little bunny filters and whatever.
Tommy
Isn't
2.0, you better make sure that stuff's banned off of Jazzy.
Yeah, my daughter. I had a rule that they could only send the pictures that they took. They could only send them to like family and like a few of their friends that I actually know, because my oldest daughter, her friends are actually her cousins that she just figured out were her cousins, which is kind of funny because they were friends. And I'm like, what's her last name? And she tells me, and I'm like, that name, the last name is why I even asked. So then I asked like half of the family who this little girl is, and it's one of my cousins that I don't socialize with too much. It's one of his daughters. And I was like, oh, how weird. But I did the same thing in junior high, and she's in junior high. So it's just kind of funny that it happened to both. And me and Allison, that's my 13-year-old, we are like how you were explaining with Tommy and your daughter. We could say the exact same thing at the exact same time. And sometimes she's like, are we living in like the Freaky Friday world here? Because it feels like, I asked her one day, she came in here and I said, do you want to watch Good Trouble? And she goes, man, I was coming in here to ask if you wanted to watch it with me. And I was like, wow, okay. And then ever since then, it's kind of like I'll start to say something, or I'll like try to talk over her, and we'll say the exact same word for word of the exact same thing. It's crazy.
My kids know what I'm telling them before I get the whole sentence out. And I've noticed that my daughter does the same kind of reactions to things that I do, which my sisters and I do the same kinds of reactions to things. And isn't it funny? Just the mannerisms that we can pass along.
It's kind of funny though how it happens, because we'll be talking about, I don't even know. We'll like talk about a movie or something, and then at the same time we'll either say we don't like it or we like it, whatever, is like something like that. Or I'll start to like, I'll think of something that's in that same thing, whether it's a movie, a song, whatever. She'll be like, do you remember the line? And then she'll say it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was just weird. I was thinking about that movie, and then you just said a line from the movie.
Yeah. I don't know if it's exactly how to, like when I was younger, I used to be able to memorize songs and like hearing them 1 to 2 times, and I could memorize lines for movies that I love. Now I try to think of a line from a movie or a line from a song that I want, that I like, and my brain just goes poof, I'm done, and shuts down.
Don't ask me what happened last week. I don't know.
I'm glad it's not you, because Tommy will be like, well, what did we do last week? And I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
So I have a theory. The reason why my memory is such crap now, and my medication does me no favors, my Seroquel. But my theory is part of why my memory is such crap is there are so many 80s songs in my head. Like you said about knowing song lyrics, they are still all there. So there is not room for anything important, because I have a whole decade of music just playing in there. Yeah, taking up too much brain space.
Honey, my brain is clogged because of music.
Yep, too much space being taken.
Mine is 90s music. I feel you, but just a different decade of music.
Yeah.
I have 80s, 90s, the 70s, some 50s.
Yeah. I liked grunge, but I wasn't paying as much attention in the 90s. And then since 2000, my appreciation for music now has just gone down. And I even read this article about if you think that music nowadays is crap, it's because it is, and it broke it all down as to why today's music is crap, which I completely was like, oh my gosh, that's right. A big part of it is the marketing has completely changed. And you know, you're never gonna have another Led Zeppelin.
Mm-mm.
My all-time favorite band is U2. But yeah, classic rock, modern alternative, grunge, starting clear back from the, you know, the 60s with the Beatles. And now I can't tell you bands unless they've been around for 20 plus years. And I, when I'm on the radio on in the car and I'm flipping, I'm like, this is all garbage.
A lot
What
of
are they
times
doing?
they're not even the original songs. Like, you know, back when we were growing up, you know, they would do a few songs here and there that were from, you know, decades before or whatever.
Yeah.
They would redo them, but now it's like they can't come up with their own original, so they're remaking all these songs and they sound like hockey poo, and it's like I'm going back to what I knew.
Or the songs that they do sing are very manufactured. There's no blood, sweat, and tears going into it. There's no experimenting with sounds or instruments anymore. Songs are kept to 3 minutes or less, and everybody has certain beats that they all do a song to, and it's much more simplistic music than it used to be. There's no more experimenting.
No.
There's no, you know, Dwayne and I talk about how things that were rebellious when we were young, like getting your ear pierced for a guy or a girl getting her ear pierced more than once, at least here in Utah, you know, getting a tattoo, man, that was really bad. And now that kind of stuff is just self-expression. Ian and Natalie and my daughter-in-law and Natalie's boyfriend, they all have tattoos. And Dwayne and I have tattoos. So it's just nothing anymore to the things that used to be so bad. The only thing was, if you noticed Natalie's picture, she has her nose is pierced, and she had been wanting to get her nose pierced from the time she was 14. And Dwayne said, "You can get your nose pierced when you're 18. You know, you can do it, but I'm not going to sign for it." And so the day after her 18th birthday, I took her in and we got her nose pierced. And that was something Dwayne and I agreed upon. It's like, you can do what you want, but you have to be old enough to sign for it.
Yeah, I have 9 piercings from the neck up. I have my nose done. I have my tongue done, and I've had my tongue pierced since before it was the stage of being cool to have your tongue pierced. And I have 3 here, 3 holes here, and 4 here.
Yeah.
I just don't wear an earring up here because that cartilage there gets real tender.
Yeah.
And so this one was maybe I shouldn't have gotten it done because I can't really wear an earring there anyway.
And I have one earring in. It's my second piercing, and that one I can wear an earring, but my other 2 get irritated. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I had to do that with the 3rd hole on the side.
Yeah, that's my 3rd closed up. I had that one done twice, and it wouldn't stay open. Yeah, my daughter has her nipples pierced.
Yeah, that's why I always clarify. Like when I go to, like when you go and get a CAT scan or an MRI done, and they're like, "Do you have any piercings? Do you have all your piercings out?" And I'm like, "I have 9 piercings," because you have to tell them how many you have and stuff like that. And I'm like, "They're all from the neck up," and they're like, "Okay," because they've had people that, like the one guy was telling me that they had somebody fill out the paperwork and they couldn't get their piercing out from the neck below, and so they couldn't have it done. And I'm like, well, what's the worst that could happen? He's like, they come ripping out. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm glad I only have it from here up. Yep. And they always look at you funny too when you answer that question, you know.
And yeah, I know a gal who my brother's ex-girlfriend, insane, love her. She's completely batshit crazy, but she's been arrested multiple times, and she I told the story of how she can't take her nipple rings out. The problem is like she didn't necessarily wear a bra, and she had big boobs, and she had these big piercings, and I just was always talking to her nipples. Yeah, when they're looking at you, it was. It's very distracting.
I have, yeah, my friend downstairs, her friend was over one night and she kept going, my boobs hurt. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I couldn't figure out why she was saying that. And she goes, well, you let them put barbells in your nipples. And I'm like, ow and no. No, that's why it was hurting, because it was cold. And that's why it was hurting. And I'm just like, no thanks. I'm good.
I figure I nursed 2 out of 3 of my kids. So I went through enough pain with that.
Yep.
I am not going to go and voluntarily make it worse, man. I paid my dues.
I mean, to each their own. And
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't care what other people do.
Right.
Yeah. Just the self-preference. No, thank you.
And yes. And
I don't have any tattoos.
And
I'm not against tattoos. I'm just terrified of that damn needle that's going to come at me. And people could tell me, oh, it's not that bad. It won't hurt. And you could tell me that all day long. But I'm still not getting any tattoos anytime soon.
You're like, no, actually, I have a tiny one on my leg. It didn't hurt at all. The one on my back just hurt when they were over my shoulder blade. I don't even like it. But I've been too cheap to like go. I'd have to have it lightened up and then covered. And I'm too cheap, so I don't know. I forget it's there unless and I very rarely wear tank tops out of the house anymore. So my son, I'm looking for it in the family text. That is one of the best things that ever happened to us as a family, is a group text, and our daughter-in-law and Natalie's boyfriend are in it too, because I love them as my own kids as well. And so, oh yeah, now I'm seeing pictures of my kids. I had to go to the group text. But it's so great because now I actually hear more about what's going on when they're talking to each other on it. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I could hear from my kids every day, and that wouldn't be too much, for me.
Right.
But my mom, she's gonna be 81 soon, and she has dementia. And I talk to her. I used to talk to her nearly every day. I talk to her once a month. She doesn't know how much time has passed since we talked previous, and we talk about the same thing. And I'm a horrible daughter because I rarely go to see her. She's an hour away, which there's no excuse. It's strained because her second husband takes care of her, which we're very grateful for, but there's not an open communication as to what is actually really going on. Like they won't even admit that she's got dementia. I guess Gary is starting to. My mother has never admitted to it. She just says she's a bit forgetful. So that's really hard because then we can't face it head on. Right. And because, our family motto was above all else, keep your secrets and lies, and I have not been that way. I've tried to be open. You don't need to air all your garbage. That's unnecessary. But I have tried very hard to not be that way as an adult, as a friend, as a mother, So here is the latest tattoo in the family. This is my oldest son. This was his Christmas present to himself. He had saved up money all year for this. So this is the way he goes. He doesn't do anything tiny. That's his latest one.
Is that his leg?
Yep, that's his leg. And like I said, he's over 6 feet tall. So that is one big old tattoo because he's mostly legs. But yeah. And then he's got one that covers the whole back of his, is that your tricep? That goes along. Yeah.
We call it the back of the arm right here.
Yeah. That goes along with the one on his leg. And then my daughter has one on her leg, a cat on her leg, a quote on her rib cage, and a bee on her stomach. I think that's all she has. But I don't know. There is garbage from my childhood that I have shared with my kids, choices that I made as a teen. And my daughter she's been a bit harsh. And anyway, as she's gotten older, I said, how you get piercings and tattoos is your release. I found my release in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then she finally got it. I knew eventually that I could, that she would, but, when mental health is not being addressed, it comes out in very unhealthy ways.
Yes.
Just very dysfunctional, very harmful. And, you hurt those around you and you hurt yourself. And, but until you learn how to handle it, and that is something, because I saw the signs in Natalie probably by age 8 that the bipolar was coming. And so that's something we've been able to talk about. Whereas, like I said, for me, I didn't know. I had been on every antidepressant, which I shouldn't have been. And then they're like, "Oh, you're bipolar. You shouldn't be on antidepressants." And but when you're trying to handle it, and you're not talking about it, then yeah, you make stupid choices.
Yep.
And then you have to go through the process of letting all that go, of recognizing it and then letting it go. If I ever figure out how to do that, I will share. The letting go part, as long as I'm properly medicated, I'm okay. But that's once my medication starts failing me, all the guilt, shame, self-loathing, loathing from the past, it just starts cycling. Mm-hmm. And there's no sense, there's no logic. Talking about it doesn't do any good. It doesn't make it go away. It doesn't fix it. And so it just keeps cycling. And then I get my medication adjusted eventually, and then it quiets down again. And it's like, can we just go through and erase some things? And no, I have to pack that crap with me through the rest of my life.
That's like somebody telling you to put it in a box. Like, how the hell do you put it in a box?
Explain
to me how to do that.
It works, and I'll put it in there.
We need one of those, what are they called? The fire lock safes. We don't need a box. We need an entire trunk like that, so we can just put it all in. I don't know how to do that. I try.
Put a combination on it that I don't know.
Right.
Because I'll open it back up.
Even if you put a combination on there that I would know, I'd probably forget anyway. So
yeah, right.
I have to ask my fiance what my password is. What's my code to my debit card? And he'll just laugh at me and tell me.
Gosh, yeah. Dwayne, he wrote the password on my desk to my account, my Facebook account, because I don't remember crap. Okay, here's something I will fully admit to. So Dwayne and I are at this point, we're coming up on 23 years of marriage, and we have what I do, we have what he does. And except for taking care of the cars, I'm trying to decide if these are gender specific. I don't know. I can drive. I get lost every time I leave the house. We've only been in this town for 3 years. Hey, where we used to live, I knew my way around. But although my daughter learned how to change tires and oil, so I'm proud of her for that. So Dwayne takes care of the cars, and I tease him that he doesn't know how to use the washing machine, but I give him credit because he can tear it apart, put it back together. But I do have to own the fact that if he did use the washing machine, I wouldn't let him wash my clothes. And nobody does it fine. So I was giving him crap about that, and then he reminded me, because he takes care of the bills. I don't even know how much the bills are. I don't even know like the passwords to, and every so often I'm like, okay, you have to write everything down, the passwords, the account numbers, so that, you know, if you die, I can make sure the bills get paid. and then I think I should pay more attention, and then I don't.
The only bill I take care of besides my own phone bill is the rent. Everything else he takes care of. So if you ask me how much the electric bill is, I don't know. If you
Dwayne will
ask
tell
me,
once in a while. It's really
like
high.
the water bill, I only know how much that is, but it's more of a guess than actually knowing how much it was.
Yeah, our utilities are so freaking high.
I think we pay like $65 a month for water, and it's normally just 2 people here.
Yeah, you'd die if you knew how much ours is. With the town we used to live in, I think it was a higher tax bracket, and the water and garbage was a fraction of what it is here. And 2, it might be where we used to live that the people who live where they have to pump the water to have higher bills, and here they decided to break it up amongst everyone. From what I understand, it's like, oh, lovely. But it kills you how much the utilities are. And then when my grandma died, I inherited her car. And it was under 100,000 miles when I got it. It was old, but I drove it. And then Dwayne's like, okay, you know, it got to where he didn't want to have to be fixing it. And so we went out, get another car. Do you know how much cars cost nowadays? Oh my heck. They're so freaking expensive. Because, you know, I've been driving my grandma's car for a long time.
So back up a little bit. You said, "Oh yes, I do know how to use it. Washer and dryer." Just saying.
See, I know how to do some stuff on cars. Like I could change the oil, I could change a tire. I can help somebody put in a transmission if they needed me to. They might have to remind me how to do it. I changed my own alternator with my dad on the phone on the side of the road.
That's great.
Because my dad, which happens to be technically we'll say he's my stepdad. I don't classify him as that. I'm 37 and him and my mom have been together since I was 3. Yeah. So he's my dad. Yeah. My biological father, I don't wish anything bad on him. I just don't like him. And he knows I don't like him. But my dad has taught me how to take care of my own car. Yeah. The other day I called him and I said, I'm going to put you on speaker. And he goes, okay. So I put him on speaker and I turned the heat up. It sounds like there is a bird stuck in the heater in the car. And he goes, oh, you probably have a piece of paper stuck. Just put your finger in that hole underneath the dash. And I knew exactly what he was talking about. And he goes, and check. I did. And there was a receipt stuck in there. And now it doesn't sound like a bird anymore.
I tell Dwayne that when he works on the cars, that the neighbors need therapy from all of his swearing.
Oh, I'm sure it's the same at my parents' house.
He has mechanic Tourette's. And I'm like, oh, please. But like if he works on it on Sunday, I'm like, please let everyone be at church. They don't hear his swearing.
So when Tommy works on cars, you actually have to wear padding because you will see tools flying everywhere. and he's like, it's funny to watch him. But I climb underneath the car with him. I grew up, my dad, who is technically my stepdad, he's been in my life since I was about 3. And he raised me. I'm his daughter. He is my dad. And he taught me how to work on vehicles and stuff like that. I mean, I can rebuild a motor, all that stuff. I've done it. made my ex-husband PO'd because his side didn't work and mine did. And so, I mean, I grew up working on vehicles and stuff too with my dad, but I got blessed because I have two dads that are my dads, that are my dads.
That's great. That's really good.
And my biological, he had a meltdown and stopped talking to me, and I don't even know what I did. And I've reached out when my spleen thing happened. My brother and my sister reached out to him to say, hey, Des may not make it. Her spleen blew up, and I had never heard from him. And so, I wish him luck. I wish him the best. I pray for him. But because I was blessed to have two different men who stepped up to be my dad, I had the best of both worlds with that. Great. And I'm the only girl. My mom and dad now, they're married through God, and not on paper, just through God's eyes. And I'm the only girl. And then my dad, who raised me, he's remarried. She has a son, and I'm the only girl there. And I'm like, so I get spoiled.
Yeah.
I was the only child until I was 18. And then my biological father had my sister. Well, obviously he didn't have my sister, but they had my sister. And, I've always been a part of her life, even though I couldn't stand him. But now she's going to be 19 this month. Oh, actually. Wow. And like less than 10 days, she's going to. I remember when she was a baby. My son and my sister are only a year and a half apart.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So it's kind of like they grew up together, which is awesome because it's not like they have a really strong bond, but they do talk. They do have communication. My kids don't really have communication with that side of my family. There's a few of them, but I don't keep in contact with most of them. I just, they're just too into partying a little too hard for me. So I don't talk to them, and neither do they.
I don't know, 15 years ago, could have been, if not more, Ian's stepmom was complaining to me about the child support that Ian's dad had to pay, that he was paying before he even met her. Mm-hmm. There were no secrets, and anyway, so she's complaining to me about a measly $300 a month, which try to raise a son who spent his entire he was 6 feet by the time he was 15. His whole childhood, he was in a growth spurt. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I just said, by the time Ian's raised, Dwayne will have put more time, money, and effort into Ian than his father has. Mm-hmm. And she didn't like that answer.
She must have got her phone call.
And, but that was just the reality of it. Like I said, $300 a month was nothing for how much it took to raise that kid. And
people don't realize how much it is to raise a child, day after day after day. Not that I would ever change it because I do love my children. But it gets expensive.
300 didn't even feed him. Yeah. A teenage boy, they eat a lot, especially because he was on the track team, and they expel a lot of energy. He's into, I don't know, it depends on his work schedule. He works a lot, and it is manual labor, and then he's into powerlifting, and he told me he has to eat 3,000 calories a day just to stay alive. I know, but when you work 80 hours a week and you power lift, it burns a lot.
definitely eat a lot, and for me, I have a binge eating problem. Speaking of food, so I can go, like, a lot of people don't understand what that is, and for me, it's different for everybody for binge eating, but for me, I can go days without feeling hungry, without eating a whole lot, if anything at all. And then I will hit a time where I'm eating everything around me. And then I get sick because, well, I just went how many days without eating, and all of a sudden I'm putting all this food in my system and it just doesn't help. And so my weight fluctuates. So when it comes to food, do not have a good relationship with food. My kids, on the other hand, have a very good relationship with food, because I've told them, do as I say, don't do as I do. And so my kids, they eat a lot. They eat a lot. And the older that they get, the more they seem to put in their bodies, and you can't keep
Especially
up.
the ages that they're at. Oh my gosh. Yeah, between, like, the dog keeps wanting to lick my hand, and that is on my top 3 of most annoying. I'll pet him, but if he licks me, it really annoys me. But anyway, yeah, between like 12 and 17, kids consume so much food.
Yeah, Kelly, the econ mom, Ward says, I know that. I have 3 boys, and they are close in age, and we're teens together. Thank the Lord for coupons.
Oh, that's great. That is.
My girls can eat a lot too, especially my 12-year-old. That girl, I swear, she eats from the time she gets up to the time she goes to bed. Like, she might as well just move her stuff into the kitchen.
And yeah, my 19-year-old's hungry all the time.
Do you sit there and ask her, where does all the food go?
I did, and she said that's why her butt is getting so big, because it just sits there.
And see, Jaslyn has always had big feet. She will eat and eat and eat and eat from the time she wakes up to the time she goes to bed. And this girl is like skinny. I mean, she's like skinny. And I'm like, we're constantly asking her, where is the food going? And she'll hold up her foot and be like, well, why do you think I got big feet? And I'm like, oh, Lordy, without missing a beat, too. She tells us it all goes into her feet. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Oh, Lynn, I almost forgot. Lynn made a comment about my shirts, so I'm going to show it.
I've been seeing how cute that is.
It's a leprechaun. Or
oh, that is great.
Leprechaun. Sorry, leprechaun.
Oh, leprechaun. That is funny.
It was given to me as a gift, and I don't wear it too often because it's a thinner material. It's more of a summer shirt than a winter shirt, and so I just like, I'm going to put it on today and see how long it takes me before I need to put a sweater on.
I will be right back.
All right, sounds good. Dwayne said, our daughter eats like a bird, eats all day long, 1 bite every 20 minutes for 24 hours.
That sounds like Allison, the 13-year-old. Oh, my gosh. That girl would not, if it wasn't a vegetable, she would not eat it.
Oh, see, now, we know a lot of people who have kids, and they can't get their kids to eat vegetables at all.
I had the opposite problem with her. I have one, my oldest one, he won't eat vegetables. He won't eat, like, there's very few fruits that he'll eat, but he will not eat a vegetable to save his life. He will sit there and eat a whole plate full of meat, but he won't eat a vegetable. Not even a pickle. Nothing.
Yeah, our kids will eat anything and everything, and they are, I feel like we've been super blessed because they will try anything, and if they will decide, there's no judgment on a food, they will try it. If they like it, they'll keep liking it. If they don't like it, then they won't eat it, but they at least try it. And so we're really lucky in that aspect, because I'll try almost anything. Almost is the key word. I'm not as flexible with food as they are, but it's for me. I'm not a big food fan. And
See, I'll try almost anything, but I'm not eating the brains of anything or anything's tongue. Nothing like weird like that. But I'll try almost anything.
Beef tongue, and I'm like,
that sounds nasty. I'm not. No.
Yeah, no, I'm good, but she's willing to try it, and that's cool. Whatever they want to try, we try to get it for them. And our grocery store isn't a big grocery store. They have some strange things there, and the kids have tried it. We bought in it, and they've tried it. But when we go to the bigger grocery stores is where they really they'll see something. They're like, oh, I want to try this, and we'll get it. And sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't. But
Right.
It's interesting to see, for me personally, watching both of my kids growing up, and me knowing the things I know about myself, mental health wise. It'll be interesting to see what happens with them when they get older. Now, I don't think my mom has mental health issues, but she doesn't go around a lot of people either. And so, I don't know if it's a hereditary thing, with the things that I deal with.
I mean, I want to say it could be, because a lot of people on my biological father's side, they do have mental health, including my sister. I don't know if hers is just teenage drama stuff that she's going through, or if it's a mental thing, or the fact that her mom is, what do they call that? Where they're, oh my gosh, I can't think of what they call it. Hypochondriac.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom's really bad, but her mom has mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's part of, she's always, I have to take care of the doctor. She sneezed. She was always one of those.
There was actually a name for that, and I can't remember what it's called, where the parents can be charged with taking
Munchausen by proxy.
That's it.
Yeah, I couldn't remember how to say that, and and that's another form of mental health, is when parents do that. And I know before my spleen, I was constantly having issues and constantly going to the doctor. And they kept saying, oh, there's nothing wrong, because they would do tests and they couldn't find anything. And then, so they were telling me I was a hypochondriac. Well, then when my spleen exploded, that's where they found the pain. All these issues that I was having was from my spleen, but they don't check your spleen. So for the longest time, I always thought that, well, it was all in my head, that maybe I really was making it up, thinking that it was happening, and it really wasn't happening until my spleen. Then I was like, we should go back to the doctors that told me it was all in my head and let me tell them, want to see my scar from where it was all in my head, and you have to be, I know, here's my advice to everybody out there who struggles with mental health. My advice to you is, don't let anybody put you down for having the struggle. Work on it. Do what you can to better yourself. We are here. We struggle. We know what it's like. And just know, no matter what, you have a place here to come to even just listen, to tell your story, to feel love, because that's one of the biggest things I feel and what I've experienced is having those people around me that know what's going on, that knows or has experienced it. It helps. It helps. Now, I don't know about you ladies, but I know there's not a whole lot of people that we talk to around here in our town, you know, but coming on here, talking to you guys, talking to you ladies, you know, getting this out there has helped me more than all the years I spent in counseling, all the years that I was put on different medications. And as much of a struggle it is to get the words out, to put myself out there, to show you my vulnerable side. And I hope I said that word right, because sometimes it comes out right and sometimes it's all twisted. So, you know, I want to help. I want people to feel safe here. And I want to thank the ladies for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. We are going to head out here in a few minutes. Just know you can reach out and talk to me. My email is down in the description. Down below, after the live is over, I am asking anybody that would like for me to do a video on a specific mental health thing that they struggle with. Put it down in the chat down below, and I will look at it. That way I can come up with a video for Wednesday to help everybody. And thank you. Thank you all for being here. Do you guys have anything you'd like to say, ladies?
No, not at this time. There's a fly, sorry.
I kind of have a thought that's sort of formulating. I think that the best thing you can do for yourself is just to own it. You know, it just, that's what it is, and you own it, and you fight every day to manage it. Someone had said something about, was it that managing is different than, or
Yes.
controlling is different than, what was it?
You see if I can find it. Beth said it at the beginning.
Was it managing is different than controlling?
Yes.
That is so true. So true. But I think that, you know, like I've always said, you're not fooling anyone. You know, people know if there's something up with someone. And if you just open and honest, and if someone can't handle it, they're not meant to be in your life.
Yep.
If they truly care about you, they will care about you anyway. You know, Dwayne could have walked away from me and have been like, she is more than I can handle. And he didn't.
Same with Tommy. You know, he could have walked away as soon as he realized what was going on. You know, he could have been like, this isn't for me, and walked away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same here.
I think people wouldn't have even judged Dwayne for it. They would have been like, yeah, you got away from that train wreck. But,
exactly.
And you just keep moving forward.
Cliff said, real quick, I want to address this. Cliff said, in my health series, I'll be discussing the link between diet, specifically carbs and cholesterol, and mental and heart health. Not next episode, but the one after that. I will have to check that out, Cliff. Thank you. Do you want to drop your link, Cliff, in the chat real quick for everybody to head over there and watch that series that you have of that? I didn't know that he was doing that. That's awesome. And I know that diet does contribute to some making it worse or better, but I don't know like the extent of it and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
it's not going to make it go away, but
right, exactly. Again, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you, ladies, for joining me today. With that, we are going to head out. Much love, everybody. Don't forget, keep shining. Find the button.